Hello and welcome! It is Team Modern Super League semifinal time. I'm Randy Bueller. I'm joined by Jessica Estefan. Welcome. How you doing?
Hi, Randy. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to tonight. This is quite the battle. I've seen some trash talk going back and forth on Twitter. It's kind of awesome. Your stream team is up against Mage Market. That is the spot on the finals on the line. We're going to play best 4 out of 7. We're going to watch some Modern, and it should be fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I was in chat watching Super League last week, and I was rooting for Mage Market, but I was really excited for them to win. I'm glad we get to play against them.
Yeah, and if you haven't looked at their deck lists, they've actually been playing different decks every single time. So you have to submit 5 different deck lists for your slate of decks. This is the 4th week they've played. They're now up to 20 different archetypes. I mean, they've got like a Hogaak Dredge and a regular Hogaak. So, I mean, it's not like there's no overlap, but their goal is to try. They're trying to win with some style. They're trying to win with 25 different decks. They can get to the finals. Did you know that going in? Did that affect your guys' thinking at all?
So I had some idea that they kept switching decks. I wasn't sure that it was like a hard stipulation that they went with.
Yeah.
Every week, what we've done is our decks kind of look similar, and that's okay. But we've kind of found a nice cross between decks that are really good in this format, as well as decks that we're experienced with. And for people like April, that means like Tron is a recurring thing. It's still one of the best decks in the format. I'm not going to not bring that because we're like, oh, we want to change decks. So I have a lot of respect for Mage Market's flexibility and their versatility in this, but I think we've got this. I believe in my little stream team. So
now I gotta say, I'm impressed by you guys as well. I mean, I think that Brittany in particular, MTG Nerd Girl, she's new to Modern, new to Magic Online, and okay, fine, she's got her one burn deck that she plays every week, but she's gotten good at it, and like she's got this window on Modern where she's been able to come in and have success.
Yeah, so I mean, MTG Nerd Girl, she was new to Modern, and the first week she was like, human seems like a deck I can play, and she was like, I think I can play this deck, but I have no idea what I'm doing with Magic Online. So I'm really proud of how far she's come, and I think she's done really well with it. And Burn is like a really good deck for this week. So
yeah, all true. Now, I also want to talk to you. You are barely here for the pregame show because you've been playing MPL matches this week, right?
Yeah. So I played 2 matches yesterday, and I played 5 matches today. So I've been playing a lot of Magic today.
Wow. So the format, for people who haven't know, it's different from the way the MPL worked last time around, right? Now it's each week they're going to focus on one split, and so you play a full round robin against the group of 8 that you've gotten dealt into, and your group has like 5 Hall of Famers or something this week.
I don't have the Hall of Fame count, unfortunately, but it's a lot of like really good players, and you're in the MPL, right? Like all of them are good. It's like, no, these are like the really, really, really good players. So I think like ours was called the Pot of Death.
Yeah.
It was really hard.
You play round robin, you play 7 matches, and then the top 4 make it to the weekend show, right? These matches from the round robin are available if people want to watch them, but then they're going to build the show over the weekend around the top 4.
That's correct.
Am I allowed to ask? Am I allowed to ask how your matches went?
You are. So this time, because it's happening on a week-by-week basis, we are allowed to be a little bit more open with our results because you're not waiting as long for them. So I ended up being 3-4. 3-4 is better than I expected, again, with the people that I paired into. And I mean, I'm surprisingly proud of myself. I'm really happy with the deck that I brought. I think this week's focus was definitely metagame based.
Okay. So what did you play?
I played Esper Hero, and the way that the pod shaped out is there were 3 Esper Hero decks, I think 2 Esper control decks, 2 mono red, and 1 Jeskai Planeswalker deck.
So no vampires after last week was just mono vampires?
These are all the decks that targeted vampires.
Interesting. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Was it close? Was it down to the wire? On like 4-3 is a good shot to make that top 4, right? If 4 of the 8 are advancing.
That's correct. So I hit my 4th loss in the second last round. So I lost to Eric Frolic in that round. And then I beat Alexander Hayne in the final round. So I knew I was dead going into the last round, but I really wanted those mythic points, so we had to get the W anyway.
Oh, right, because that's presumably how they haven't announced the exact details, but every match you win throws off mythic points, which presumably is how people are going to get back into the MPL for next year.
I can neither confirm nor deny that, but I'm really looking forward to these mythic points.
Fair enough. All right, well, it sounds like a good run. this is what the second week of this this run through this split, I guess is what they call it for the NPL.
Yeah, so currently we're on the second week, and I think we're taking a bit of a break before you get the other two divisions, just to allow GP Vegas to happen.
Oh, sure. Probably don't want to compete with that for viewers on a Saturday. That'll be fun to watch.
So, yeah.
All right.
I mean, I'm excited for GP Vegas as well, but you know,
I haven't missed one of those in a while. I actually had a family vacation. I'm scheduled. I'm taking my kid to Disney World. Well, that should be fine. But yeah, I will not be at GP Vegas for the first time. I think I've been to all three of the really big ones.
That's really sad, but you get to go to Disneyland. That's really cool. So
should be. I've got family in Florida too, so I will actually be doing next week's show from the road. Should work. I'll be, laptop in a hotel room for next week's Super League show, the other semifinal. And we get back right before. It's like scheduled a vacation to start right after a Tuesday show and then get back right before the next Tuesday. So I'll do one Tuesday on the road. Should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, next week when we play, I will also be doing it from a hotel room and a laptop. So
okay. Well, next 2 weeks, you mean?
Yeah, also a hotel room and a laptop. So
fair enough. Yeah, next week we get the undefeateds that are left. We actually have the 2-2-0 teams from the Swiss paired against each other in the other semifinal because neither of them could make it tonight. So they're playing next week. That is Pamplemousse, and it's been so long I can barely remember. It's the Bash brothers, right? The brothers who bash.
It is the brothers who bash versus Pamplemousse, which I think will be like an excellent show.
Definitely should be a good show. I mean, those are a bunch of Pro Tour regulars, Mythic Championship regulars who've been forced to play a bunch of Modern lately and probably have some good opinions about the format. I know it was fun watching CFB come off the Mythic Championship and sort of run through all the decks they almost played but didn't quite.
Yeah. I'm glad we're not in next week's bracket. It's going to be hard enough. So,
Fair.
Thanks for scheduling us in this week.
Fair enough. So, tell me what you think about your matchups. I know this first one, it is going to be MTG Nerd Girl. She is on the burn deck she's been running up against a Gift Storm deck from Michael Bonda that I will admit I don't know a ton about.
So, I mean, Gift Storm, it was bound to show up if they were running through the Modern Gauntlet, but it hasn't shown up very many places elsewhere. It's really cool. I don't see any Aria of Flame in the deck, which was what I thought the direction I would have taken the deck in.
Interesting.
But yeah, we're getting a bit of a blast from the past with this Gift Storm deck that's being brought in round 1 today. Burn versus Gift Storm, it's the kind of matchup we would have talked about 6 months ago before Hogaak had even been heard of. So
sure.
This is very like die roll dependent from my experience again 6 months ago. I think it's a really close match, and as I say every week, I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out. It's going to be really interesting, and MTG Nerd Girl's going to win because that's going to support my team.
Love it. Yeah, I'm all for the biased commentary when it's a team Super League. I like seeing the rooting interest, and I know you guys would love to play in the finals. I'm sure. Yeah.
I think I've said this before on the stream, but like playing like one of the Super Leagues has been something I've wanted to do for a while. So I guess while I'm here, we may as well try and win it. So.
Makes sense to me. We're certainly glad to have you this time around.
Thank you.
Oh, that's funny. I see in the chat Brad Nelson hanging out for Freak MTG. Reminiscing about the last time they had to play against Pamplemousse, which was a previous format where one player would just play kind of King of the Hill style and keep playing until you knocked them off. Nassif just 4-0'd them. They didn't need Reed. They didn't need Logan. Nassif just rattled off the 4-0.
Didn't need anyone else.
Funny.
One of the other cool things is match 2. We're seeing Band Spirits versus Tron, which is also a matchup you would have kind of expected 6 months ago more so than now. But
true.
Yeah, all of these blasts from the past, and I'm really excited to see how they go because, yeah.
You sound content with your side of them.
Well, I mean, if we're going back 6 months, Tron was pretty favored against Band Spirits, although I think Band Spirit specialists will argue that it was really close, and sometimes they could have gotten there.
Of course.
But I think like match 4 is like the really interesting one. It's the mono red Prowess deck versus Cheerios.
Now, when exactly have we seen that matchup play out? I don't know what timeline you're going to go back to where that was a real match.
Yes, certainly wasn't the 6 month ago period. We're going to see it in maybe an hour from now. So
Guys, so you skipped over round 3, which is your match actually. We did wind up with the 2 Hogaak decks paired against each other. Not quite really a mirror though. It's you've got the more popular version of the Hogaak deck. I guess you went with the second place list from last weekend's Grand Prix rather than the winner. Do you like the lot lift troll? I mean, I understand Hogaak tech probably only relevant for another couple of weeks, but hey, there's GP Vegas in that window. So
yeah, so we decided to go with the second place list, and the reason was kind of interesting. Later on, the winner of the GP posted about how one of the things he'd been doing is sometimes boarding in ley lines and sometimes not, because he knew that they were always bringing in enchantment hate, and he could sometimes blank it by, just blanking it. And there wasn't any coverage, which isn't, a point of contention for me, but we don't know how many of his matches he was winning in the mirror based on that really cool play, which was like insane from him. Like that's awesome.
Okay.
I preferred the lot left troll list in this situation.
Interesting.
And against Hogaak Dredge, it's gonna be interesting.
Right, that was gonna be my next question. How do you like the regular Hogaak versus the Dredge version? A heads up.
I like it a lot when I win the die roll. I like it a lot less when I lose the die roll, which speaks to the format. The reason I brushed over it is because it's going to be a really interesting matchup. It's going to be very skill intensive, and I think Andreas is going to give me many runs for my money. So
yeah,
we're going to need that match 5 at least.
Definitely one to look forward to. And then speaking of pseudo mirrors, blue-white control versus Esper control in match 5.
I was really good at putting us into the slot where I played all the mirrors, or the pseudo mirrors rather.
Right.
I think the threat package that Esper Control seems to be packing is gonna challenge me, but I'm also playing a lot of threats as well. Like they're both threat heavy decks. Thomas has the disruption to try and take them from my hands, and I have to try and answer them on the stack. I actually think Thomas is the Esper Control deck is favored in this matchup, but I think so much of it is. It's a skill intensive matchup. It's gonna matter who wins the die roll. It's gonna matter how it plays out, obviously, like most Magic matches. So I'm gonna try my best and hope it's good enough.
Yeah, that does seem like one where his black cards are pretty good in the matchup, and you're not really able to punish him for the greedier mana base. So maybe blue-white's better against the field, but Esper does seem like it might have the slight edge. Heads up.
Yeah. So I think you actually switched me from match 1 to match 3 to avoid like a later clash.
Right.
And I think I like the gifts versus the Hogaak matchup a little bit more than the Dredge v Dredge matchup, and I think that might have impacted the Esper versus blue-white. So
yeah, I don't even look at what the decks are. I'm just like, okay, I don't want the same human beings playing twice against each other. So you guys submit the preferred order, and then I just juggle it to make sure that I can avoid the same humans getting paired against each other. We basically wind up playing 7 of the possible 9 pairings, right?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see how us goes.
Yeah, we should be ready momentarily. It will be Michael Bonde up against MTG Nerd Girl in the first match. Gift Storm against Burn as soon as we get that set up. So, your thoughts going into Vegas? What are you playing?
I'm playing the limited GP, which, if anyone knows me like remotely well, know that's kind of surprising.
A little bit.
I really like the Modern Horizons format.
Sure.
Yeah. If I was playing the modern GP, I would probably register Hogaak because it's a really good deck and not enough people are doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I registered Phoenix instead, as I've been able to do.
Fair enough. Do you have any particular, side events you're hoping to squeeze in if the GP goes badly? Or I know for me, it's always about like there's a big old school tournament. There's maybe some vintage side events. It's usually what I'm trying to sneak into.
I'm hoping to grind as many of the legacy side events as I can. I want to try and win a big card. That's like the goal of the weekend for me.
Nice. Well, sounds like our match is ready. No big cards on the line, but we do have a spot in the TMSL finals. So MTG Nerd Girl, 3 lands. That seems like a solid draw, but none of the 1-drop creatures you'd really love to start with. Looks like Bonda won the die roll. But he's got a 1-lander, but he's got 2 sleight of hand, so you probably keep.
So yeah, he kept it. Look like they've kept. I I think both are defensible keeps. I don't like that it's a pain land that Bond is.
Yeah, he does know the matchup.
He does. The upside is, however, generally speaking, Storm is a couple of life points away when they try and combo off. So,
well, that wasn't the land. That was a third 2-mana creature.
Yeah.
Big draw step coming up. And there came Monastery Swiftspear off the top for Brittany.
That's correct. And the way that the hand plays out is, she can save the Scalding Tarn for the Searing Blaze on Michael's turn, which is going to be super important, especially less important because he has 3 of them, but otherwise it would have been super important. She's chosen to play the Sunbaked Canyon.
I was wondering if she was going to do that or shock herself with Foundry.
Kind of depends on how you feel the damage is going to add up.
That was not a land.
That was not a land either. We've got a sleight of hand. We're going to see two cards.
Okay, there's the land, but it means he didn't get to play an Electromancer or a Baral.
That's correct. And at the very least, it would have Brittany would have had to clear that creature, either, right? Or try and attack and see if the blocks happened. But
I mean, Searing Blaze would have been a pretty good way to clear, but
yeah.
So she goes for the Lava Spike, presumably into the Skewer.
Yeah.
Rather than an Eidolon. What do you think?
I think this play ends up working out well because the way that Michael's hand works out is that he's going to play a bear next turn, and if he's got a land up, it's going to be probably holding up Remand. He might Metamorphose type of thing.
Yeah.
But I like Brittany's line here. She's setting up a clock. She's saying, we're gonna kill him. Like, I like the play as it turns out, even though it may not be like technically correct. I think it works out well in this exact situation.
Fair enough.
Michael
no third land here, so Electromancer is not going to enable a Remand.
Yeah, neither will Baral, but he has a choice between paying 1 life for the Electromancer or putting the Baral into play.
Yeah, this is super awkward for Michael. He's at 7 now after the Pain land. Is this just Manamorphose and hope? He can Great Shot the Swiftspear? Is that the kind of lines we're on? If he draws a land, he can Electromancer into Grape Shot, maybe? Cannot be happy to be at 7, though.
No, of course not. 7 and relying on a draw. So
yeah,
it's possible that he gets the same line where he puts a creature into play plus his turn and hopes to survive. Is there an issue with the Metamorphose? Oh no, it looks like it's resolved.
Brittany just needed to yield to it. Huh. Okay.
This is a line. Grape Shotting the Swiftspear though is.
Yeah, he's not going to bother with the ritual. He's not going to keep trying. He's not going to try to keep going. Couldn't really ritual and have the blue for the Electromancer. So yeah, all right. Can she deal 7?
She can deal 6. So I think the play is to put an Eidolon out.
And then not crack Scalding Tarn?
It depends on whether she wants to cast the Lava Spike this turn.
It's true.
Because that way she's kind of guaranteed the Skewer. He's so many ways dead. She doesn't exactly have lethal this turn.
Right.
So I think the contemplation is whether you hold up Searing Blaze, or whether you play the Eidolon. So
right.
If you play the Eidolon, because you don't have the instant speed bolt, Michael has a couple of draws to pick up something either like Grape Shotting the Eidolon, or Echoing Truth or whatever bounce spell is decided to play in the main. But
I like her line.
No third land. I also like her line. I think some people in chat do not like the line, but I think it is a very defensible line.
All right, here's Ritual, take 2. Now he can Grape Shot, taking 2 more.
Yeah.
Kills the Eidolon. Can he keep going, though? He's got 1 red? He's basically done hoping her hand is blank.
Yes, it's...
Yeah, he's hoping her hand is blank, and her hand is not even close to blank.
No.
Which way would you like to kill him?
Yeah,
We'll go for the lava spike. All right. Game 1 to MTG Nerd Girl. The start you were looking for. That was on the draw too, right? That was her breaking serve.
It was, and again, I'm really happy to see us win, obviously. But I like the interesting games of Magic as opposed to the ones that appear to be lopsided or one-sided. And while she played perfectly, I would have liked to see Michael draw a land and give us a little more to talk about.
Yeah, that was definitely, he kept Pain Land, Sleight of Hand, Sleight of Hand. Didn't find land 2 until he cast the turn 2 Sleight of Hand. And then never did find land 3. Fair.
Really unfortunate, but you know, we take that. We take that. But I guess we're doing some sideboarding now.
What changes here?
So I mean, from the gifts side, they get to bring in some spot removal, as well as they have the option to become a little bit more interactive in terms of what Brittany is attempting to do. And for Brittany, she gets to, you know, change around some burn spells, I guess. Cut on the Searing Blazes if she wants to, just because they don't always have text and you might rather, you know, prefer something else. But from her side, her hand looks really good. She's got the 1-drop creature and a bunch of burn spells, plus an Eidolon, which is kind of awesome in this matchup.
2 land, 5 spells is great. The 1-drop creature's great. Michael, meanwhile, well, he has land this time.
He has lands, and I think he's leaning heavily on this opt. I think if it's a good opt, we're going to have a really good game on our hands.
Survey says a ritual.
Probably one of the better draws. I personally haven't played a lot of Storm, but I think like a Manamorphose.
Oh, there's the gifts I'm given.
There is a gift. The name's of the deck as well.
This is turn 2 Baral, setting up potential turn 3 gifts.
So we've chosen to hold the Baral here.
Interesting.
Because it's the only Baron in his hand, and he can kind of go off next turn. He doesn't necessarily have to run it out. I kind of like it. Just at least trying to get some value out of it. I think I'm hoping if I'm Brittany, I'm probably just playing the Eidolon here.
I think I agree with you. I would play Eidolon.
Spike
is more closer to the line she ran game 1 though. Yeah,
so I would say like Spike Skewer, just so we have.
Oh, Spike Skewer, you're right. That's better.
We can power out the other Skewer if we need to. This is a lot of damage. So we are going for a Spike Skewer. In Brittany's defense, it's going to save her a few life points if she does it without an Eidolon on the battlefield. I think I'm still a fan of running out Eidolon though. But we're here now, so let's deal as much damage to Michael's face as we can. This also, I believe, sets up for a lethal next turn if not much happens from Michael's side.
Skewer's 13, Swift Spear's 10. I think her next turn is 9 damage.
It's 9. Sorry, yeah, it's 9 damage. It's another land, but.
All right, here's the Baral that he slow rolled. He wanted to have the instants and sorceries you cast reduced by 1 more than he wanted those 2 mana.
And he gets to Grape Shot the Swift Spear as well.
Does get to Grape Shot the Swift Spear.
There's upsides and downsides to this play. If the bear dies, we're leaning really heavily on like ritual into gifts and kind of hoping that you survive enough turns for that to be good enough, which you may not. But this bear is kind of a kill on sight, so something like Lava Spike face, Skewer the bear.
I was wondering, yeah. I mean, there's also the option of Eidolon, but you want to kill Baral here, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not killing Baral, you should probably play the Eidolon. But I think I like killing Baral. You're opening up your options a little bit, and kind of taking a few away from Storm. She is definitely thinking about it.
She does not have lethal next turn if she kills Baral. I mean, that might be why it's tempting to just set up Charm and give him 1 turn, but that can't possibly be right. I think you have to kill Baral.
there's rarely ever if you're not casting the Eidolon here, there's rarely ever a point to putting your opponent to like 1. 1 means nothing. You know,
Yep,
it
I
stops
agree.
you from using a Chivalry kind of. But so we kill Baral.
Down goes Baral. And this leaves him with just ritual gifts. He's not going off this turn, so he comes into play tap land. Wow, she now has plenty of damage, but what's the right way to sequence it?
I mean, if it's me, I'm playing Eidolon here. But I mean, you could just Boros Charm, untap Boros Charm.
Those seem like the two options.
I mean, suspending Riftbolt is also technically an option, but I don't think it's a good option.
No, that sounds right.
I think the way that this gets played out kind of speaks to a player and the kind of games they like to play. I'm more of a conservative player. Brittany looks like she's passed to at least the second.
Yeah, she's looking at 4+4. She's giving him this turn with no Eidolon in play in order to guarantee lethal next turn. And it's going to work.
Yeah.
Bonde just says go. He can't go off with just a gift and a ritual. So here's 4. I mean, the Eidolon, to be fair, the Eidolon would have also worked. Well, Eidolon might have given him another draw step, but it would have been a draw step where there's an Eidolon in play and he's on not much life.
Yeah, that was...
There you go.
Yeah. Wow.
Match 1 done and dusted. MTG Nerd Girl, the trusty mono red burn deck, 2-0. Gift Storm cannot get the job done. Michael won the die roll, but not enough lands in game 1. Probably too many in game 2. I think you'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, burn is not a deck you want to stumble against, but I'm really happy with the 1-0 to kick things off.
All right, that is 1 to the stream team. Mage Market's got some work to do if they want the seat in the finals. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after these commercials with match number 2.
CoolStuffInc.com is your home for everything Magic the Gathering. Need singles for constructed or kitchen table play? Looking to pick up some sealed product or the latest in Magic accessories? We've got you covered with our extensive live inventory. With free shipping on orders of $100 or more, a 25% buy list bonus, and our ever-popular customer rewards program, CoolStuffInc.com is the place for all your Magic the Gathering needs.
Hello there. Good morning, good day, good afternoon. I'm Michael Bonda here at TMSL, Team Modern Super League, with Brittany, MTG Nerd Girl, who just handed me a quick loss in my first round of tonight. So what's up?
Sometimes lucky.
I think Burn is a good deck. So in the deck choice, you choose some of your luck, and I think you did a great job when we put in Storm and later Cheerios. So luck is not all. Yeah. So what do you think about the matchup or the game, Brittany?
Damn, mute. So I don't have as much experience with Modern as they were talking about in the beginning. So I think that was the first time I've actually played the matchup. I really didn't know if I should kill your creature or not.
I think it was correct to kill the creature. My hand was like a gift son given in a ritual. So not killing my creature, just going for the face would have led to a loss in that particular case. So it was the 100% correct play. So
well, luckily it did not lead to a loss.
Yeah, again, luck was out of the question when you did the correct play. Had you done the other thing, then it was up to luck if you would have win. So we have a match coming up. Thomas Inolsen against April King. So Band Spirits versus Tron. So have you been one of the decider to bring Tron to the table?
I have not. The other two teammates have been mostly deciding on the deck choices. They've been nice enough to give me the straightforward, easy to pilot burn deck. But I'm getting a little bit better at Modern. They both seem to really like different variations of Tron, so it's been something that we've brought every single week.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been working out pretty well for us, so no complaints.
But you say you're getting better at I think I heard that you had a pretty good record at Pro Tour, at least on day one.
For Modern, I was 32, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Like, yeah, I went 1-4, so and now you're 1-0 against me. So I'm 1-5, you're 4-2. So I would say that's a really good record compared to my 1-7 in the MTG or in the Modern Super League.
I think for Super League I'm 3-1, 4-1, something like that. So it's not too bad. Yeah, I mean it's easy to hand someone just 6.5 spells and just be like, "Are you dead? No, okay."
Yeah, that is true. Like Burn sometimes has these linear, but Storm has as well. If you get a creature on the board, get 6 mana and a gift, then it's just game over if they can't interact. So some of the games are also just like the highway or whatever you call that. I think we were having. I think we were a bit unlucky with the matchups today. Band versus Tron. I think Band Spirits is pretty good against most of the decks that you're bringing, but the Tron deck is it will be hard. It will be hard for Thomas, and he'll be putting in his best to actually win that matchup.
I don't know the matchups all that well, but it's funny that you say that because we were actually in our group chat, we were talking about how some of the matchups weren't necessarily great for us either. So I don't know how that's gonna.
Yeah, can you try and elaborate a little bit on that?
No.
Okay.
I don't know which ones they were talking about specifically.
No. I think some of the later match 5, 6, and 7, they are probably not match 5, but 6 and 7 are in our favor. But
yeah,
we have to dodge the ultimate loss before round 6 to actually get a great matchup.
I mean, you guys are only going to round 4. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So I've heard in my ear that the players are ready. So maybe we should go down to the battlefield.
Time to battle.
So we have April with a nice picture of you here.
April looks sweet.
Against Thomas, and now the picture of Thomas has changed, and
yeah,
we have a So what does April have here, Brittany?
3 agent stirrings? You're gonna put me on the spot this whole time, aren't you?
No. Yeah. So Thomas's hand is like four spells, but with a spell queller. The 2-mana escape shifter or shapeshifter isn't really, or changeling isn't really that good, but the spell queller can really do some job here. And April's hand was a bit too slow with the 3 agent steerings, so she is mulliganing into a hand that has turn 4 Tron, I think. Putting away a expedition map, I would assume. No, the steerings. Okay. So were you always just set on burn, or did you actually like think a little bit about Tron with the new mulligan rule before the Pro Tour?
I did not think about Tron.
Okay.
I'm new enough to where I didn't want to pilot anything that didn't have a very set game plan.
Yeah.
I was thinking humans,
Okay.
but there was a lot of cards in there that I still needed to know all of the other decks, and I had to be very reactive to those, and I didn't feel confident I can learn all the decks in the format in enough time. So
yeah, it is one of the fun things and harder things about Modern, and especially if you're kind of new to it. There are so many tier 1, tier 1.5, tier 2 decks that are actually potent. So I think Thomas is gonna dump the Shapeshifter and the Mausoleum Wanderer here just to get some creatures on the board. And it looks like April got the second Tron piece from the top, so it will be a turn 3 Tron with a turn 3 Karn instead of turn 4. So for Thomas, it's the most important thing is to just apply some pressure. And here we have Karn, the Great Creator. Did you play against that one when you played Burn at the Pro Tour or at the Mythic Championship?
I did play against one Tron.
Yeah, with the Karn, the Great Creator, or without?
I don't remember.
No, I don't know if it's that good against Burn. It doesn't really have that much against, but it can be good against these board states with Engineering Bridge.
Modern is a very intense format. I mean, I've done a fair amount of standard, and then mostly I just only play limited if given the choice.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to be able to follow along. Like I know what's actually happening.
Yeah, so April is plussing here, but Shapeshifter seems like it counters that ability. So let's see if Thomas... okay, I didn't even see the Collected Company. So he's going to fire off the Collected Company here. And see if he can get 2 creatures that can pressure Karn enough. So 2 Drugskull Captains would be pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
There was 1 Drugskull, and there was... What's the other one? Oh, Deputy of Detention. Does Deputy say that you cannot play a spell that's named the same? Do you know from Standard? I simply just can't remember.
I don't.
Let's see here. Tron. It's not in a Tron deck, so just shows that I have not played that much with Deputy of Detention. It says all non-land permanents that player controls with the same name as the permanent, so it just takes them away.
All the ones that are on the battlefield.
Yeah, so it doesn't. But there is some. April can play the second Karn Liberator to kill the Deputy, to get back the other Karn to kill another creature. But can she? Is it? It's a Dalkin Wizard, so it doesn't go under the Hex with the Drugskull. So many creatures. What is it called? The Unsettled Mariner. Unsettled Mariner. Whenever you or a permanent you control becomes a target of a spell, so it actually also helps protecting the Deputy here.
We need to come up with a Twitch overlay for Modern for MTGO, so we can hover over the Modern cards.
Yeah,
I'm all about that.
I think a nice thing is, for example, Burn. Like when you play Burn, you just get to learn every single matchup in and out with the Burn deck, and then you don't have to focus that much about. In the Storm matchup, you have to focus about killing the creatures, but in a lot of the other matchups, the creatures don't matter. So I just go straight to the face and see how fast I can kill. and then eventually you transgress into another deck like humans,
Yep.
trying to play that, and then eventually you'll be able to play all decks.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Like I said, I tried to start with humans because I thought that would be like straightforward enough, but
yeah, that's a tough one with the meddling mages and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It got to the point where I was like, well, I don't know what to name, so. But
Yeah.
we're getting there.
Ouch. Yeah, that's great. So let's see, the current liberator here is. So she is gonna kill the unsettled mariner. I don't know why I call it mana skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
And Thomas was pretty lucky here to get an additional
Second Coco, yeah. Definitely not helpful for the home team.
Oh no, she didn't. Yeah, she didn't try to take the marina. It was just a triggered ability because it has hexproof. So it was the deputy of. So let's see here. Okay. So now everything except the noble hierarch has hexproof. So it should be lethal with the spellcrawler on the. So it's 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so it should be lethal when April is tapped out here. Because she is able to kill the noble hierarch, but everything else. Oh, she can kill the Drugskull captain with the 1 mana floating. But with the okay, so that was why Thomas played the collective. Also, wake up here. Thomas played the collective company to actually get an additional unsettled mariner for the second card ability, since April only had 1 mana floating. So it will take 2 mana to kill it, and then it was lethal on the board. So let's see here. So there are not many standard cards here, but there are a lot of Modern Horizon cards.
Yeah.
With the Force of Negation. Let's see if Thomas brings that one in. I would probably assume. And he also came prepared with a Damping Sphere here. So did you talk a little bit about how you're gonna approach the matchup, or was it primarily April and Jess? Like just after the sideboard?
It was mostly April and Jess. I talked to some other friends that I had about my matchup with you and how I should board, but I think both April and Jess know how to pilot their decks enough to where in our group chat there hasn't been a whole lot of like sideboard strategy going on, just because I think they have that pretty well covered, and I definitely can't help them.
No, sometimes it's good to have some fresh eyes, just to
yes.
are you sure this is a good card to bring in against this, like regardless of the experience in the format, and then you can always try to elaborate why you're doing like the way you're doing, and in that progress maybe understand if it's problematic or not problematic.
Yeah, they definitely helped me out a bunch. My board changed since from all the other Team Super League weeks, and as well as my like Pro Tour deck list.
Yeah.
So it they helped me with some sideboard stuff for that, and we completely changed it. We got rid of like the rest in pieces and put in like the black ley lines.
Yeah. They are a little bit worse against my deck. I don't know if you brought them in the ley lines, but the rest in peace is pretty good against the deck. But I think it's better to just go plan, to be honest. Just kill the creatures and kill the face.
All right, what do we got going on here? We have a lot of stuff in April's hand. A lot of big scary things.
Yeah, but she only has 2 of the 3 Tron pieces. So hopefully for my team, Tron won't be activated next turn from a top deck. But it's the scary thing about Tron is that if they draw the 3 Tron pieces, then a lot of big creatures just starts jamming. But Thomas has the Damping Sphere here to stop some of the fun. So Damping Sphere says that all the Tron pieces, even though they're activated, they only tap for 1 colorless mana. So April actually drew the Agent Steerings here to...
Rude.
Yeah, to oh, and I think that's that's the power plant. So there is Tron, but it is locked a little bit down under the damping sphere. There's, however, so let's see if she plays the blast zone here. Yeah. So now the blast zone is on the board. Thomas knows the blast zone is on the board, and he can't really do much about it. Ooh. So the question here is if Thomas plays 2 spells in the Ether Vial and the Supreme Phantom, or if he plays Collected Company. I think he goes with Collected Company to pressure the board, since he can play the Phantom and then have Unified Will up next turn. And the Blast Zone here is pretty, as in Standard, the Blast Zone can sometimes just be especially what you need in on these board states. So if Thomas gets Converted Mana cost 2s here, then he's gonna be in trouble. But it seems like he's gonna take a Noble Hierarch. Yeah, he has to. Okay, that's a fun thing how that actually works. It doesn't have a copy before it enters the battlefield, so it has to copy Noble Hierarch.
Okay. I feel like the Blast Zone isn't going to be too big of a surprise. I think he'll play around it to make it as not as impactful as it could be, I think.
Yeah, I agree. But the thing is, if she gets to Blast Zone next turn, then Thomas is put in a spot where Ugin can dump on the board because she has Tron, and also the Oblivion Stone here. So she can actually just play Oblivion Stone, and it is gonna get countered here with Unified Will. But it is a pretty good plan to play Oblivion Stone and try to blow up everything next turn. So see if Thomas actually plays the Will here, or if he goes for the Vidalcan with the Deputy. Since April has no way of blowing up the So he knows that Ugin is gonna be problematic later, so he's gonna keep the Unified Will and then play the Deputy next turn, making the best use of the Noble Hierarch and the extra mana. So it would be, I think the Deputy will take the Oblivion Stone here, yeah. And then in for 6. And this actually puts, with a Unified Will, this should be enough for the Unified Will counter the Wormcoil Engine, and then Thomas will play the Supreme Phantom, have enough on the board to kill April. She'll go to -1, I think. He didn't. Yeah, he's just gonna play the
the second Deputy.
Yeah, but maybe it's not even necessary, since this is 8 flying damage. So we'll just fly over the Wormcoil Engine. And so you were right in your group chat about that this was actually a matchup that was winnable for Bandsparrows. We didn't really draw it up that way.
I honestly don't know what match they were talking about specifically, but regardless, I was wrong. It looks like you guys are going to go to round 5. So
yeah,
stick around for an extra 40 minutes.
Yeah, but round 5 is a really bad round for us. So we should definitely go to round 6. So let's make the decider there.
5 is good.
So good luck later, Brittany, and thank you very much for the commentary. And I hope we will see each other in Richmond or commentate a little bit later.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm sure we will.
So we'll be back after some commercials and after some decks and with some other sweet matchups. So hang tight and see you all later.
CoolStuffInc.com is your home for everything Magic the Gathering. Need singles for constructed or kitchen table play? Looking to pick up some sealed product or the latest in Magic accessories? We've got you covered with our extensive live inventory, with free shipping on orders of $100 or more, a 25% buy list bonus, and our ever-popular customer rewards program. CoolStuffInc.com is the place for all your Magic the Gathering needs.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Team Modern Super League. I am Thomas Enevoldsen from Team Mage Market, and I'm joined by the lovely April King from the Stream team. April, how are you doing?
I am so sick this week. I'm just so sick.
All right, we'll try to power through.
But I'm good.
All right, so we just had an interesting Tron versus Spirits matchup. How did it see from your side?
Yeah, it was a bit of a thrashing. The first game, I don't think I had a chance. The second game, I just accidentally, because I'm just like so hot right now, just like accidentally clicked through the end of turn step. I was like F2, 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 and then and I forgot to pump the blast zone to 2 to deal with the damping sphere.
Yes, that definitely would have unlocked all your mana there.
Yeah, I would have let me go end of turn, blow up the damping sphere, and then play a Nugan. But I mean, that's assuming that you didn't have anything in your hand, which I have no idea.
Exactly. Yeah, and I drawn my unified will there, so I would have been able to counter the Ugin and hopefully played enough lords to kill you before anything else happened.
Yeah, I think that would have been a loss anyways.
For the Spirits deck, because there are so many haymakers from your side. Randomly, the Unsettled Mariner in game 1 was very important.
That was so good. Like being able to blank that Tron, I'm sorry, the Karn, like was just, it was so brutal. It's like I didn't get a card. It's just, I was like, oh, and then I was like, I knew it was gonna get deputied. It's gonna get deputied, and then
yeah, I mean, I didn't know that. I thought, all right, I'll just get 2 lords into play, and maybe I can kill the card on the next turn if she takes it up. But then I just found that a deputy on the collected company, and suddenly my choices were much easier.
Yeah, the deputy was like very. I mean, you know, when your deck is, you know, it puts quite a bit of power down fairly quickly, and when you're able to like play those tempo plays, like it's really hard for me to get back.
Yeah, I agree.
To gain control of the game again.
Exactly.
It only takes like 1 turn, right? I mean, if you play another lord or 2, all of a sudden you've got 4 more power in the air, and the game is just over.
Yeah, that even came up in game 1 where I was counting up if I actually could kill you on that one swing after I took out the card, because if I find 2 lords on my next collected company, that's actually lethal. But if I don't find 2 and you play Oblivion Stone or Ugin, then my whole board just dies. So I figured I would take the conservative line and just let you deal with the first sort of beaters and see if I could take you in the round 2 if I had to.
Yeah, I was like, I had so many Karns. I just had, my hand was just like, I had like a Karn in my hand, I had the Karn in the board with 2 deputy, then I drew a Karn, plus I also had the Great Creator in my hand. It was like maximal Karn, so.
Maximal Karns, yeah.
Carnage, I guess you could say. But yeah, that second game, I was like, I missed the Blast Stone thing. It's like, well, I have to just play out Oblivion Stone to have a chance of surviving here.
And then I agree. I was
actually hope you didn't have a deputy.
Yep.
Yeah, but all right. Well, it looks like we've got a real exclamation point on Modern coming up in the next match.
Yeah, for sure.
We've got Hogaak versus Hogaak. I don't think anybody saw this one coming. I don't think anybody.
That's a complete surprise to me as well that anybody chose to play 8/8s for 2 mana or maybe even 0 mana.
Yeah, I mean, like, is 16 power on turn 2 even good in this meta anymore? I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need 20, right, for the full turn 3 kills. There's probably a deck out there that does that as well, I'm sure.
I'm sure there is. I think the deck I'm playing later tonight, that red deck, the red Blitzy deck, can win on turn 3. So
yeah, that looks very, very scary. But yeah, the Hogaak versus Hogaak, not a matchup I'm super familiar with, but I guess we can be happy to see that we get some Hogaak action before maybe it suddenly goes on a long trip in a couple of weeks. We'll see, of course. We don't know anything about that, but I believe that the differences, if we're to highlight those, are that the deck you guys brought is the more sort of traditional Hogaak deck with in the Jund colors with the Lotleth Troll, which we also saw some of at the Mythic Championship in Barcelona. And Andreas is bringing the Dredge version of the deck, which relies more heavily on sort of the traditional Dredge engine with Light from the Loam and Stinkweed and so on, and then tries to just add in the 0 mana 8/8, just kicks.
Because why wouldn't you? I mean, you probably only have, I would assume, I would really hope just 2 more weeks. I would hope just 2 more weeks of playing free 8/8. So
yeah, it should be refreshing to not play. Maybe pay some amount of mana for an 8/8.
Yeah, sure.
We'll see. Maybe then the Prowess deck will take over.
All right. Looks like the match is about to start. I love Hogaak. I love how they they printed on the card like you can't spend mana to cast Hogaak. As if that were like a downside. People are like, really? I don't have to spend mana to cast Hogaak? What a deal.
Yeah, all right. So the players are ready. Andreas on Hogaak Dredge and Jessica on, let's call it standard Hogaak. Both players with at least their enablers in their opening hand with Faithless Looting from both sides. And Jessica also found a State of Wayfinder. A bit land heavy though.
Yeah,
it looks like
looking at both hands, I mean, it's really hard to say what these hands are going to be in just 1 turn.
Yeah, agreed.
I think it's, looks like, did Jessica mulligan? Okay.
Yeah, Jess mulligan. I think Andreas is then keeping. He does have 2 looting, and he has a Light from the Loam, so you can get the engine going. But Jessica found a real doozy on 6 here, I think.
Yeah, that's
both enablers and all the key cards. So maybe she will be able to present those 16 power on turn 2.
Yeah, for sure. Now it makes me wonder, like, what do you think she's going to be? What do you think she's going to be binning here? Because like she can put the Bloodghast and the Vengevine in the bin.
Yeah.
Faithless Looting. Bring it back
Yes.
next turn with the Bloodstained Mire.
Yeah, and she needs one creature, an additional. Well, maybe she doesn't even need one. She gets 2 cards from the 2. Oh, she has 1 fetch land, and she has 4 from the Stitcher.
Yep.
5 with the looting. Yeah, so he has to put 1 back, of course. So that sort of puts a wrench in that plan.
It looks like she got rid of the Vengevine, figuring that, maybe in this matchup the 4/3 isn't quite as important, especially if she can't guarantee it comes down on turn 2.
But she did find another one, although she may have to exile that if she wants to play a turn 2 Hogaak.
Mm-hmm. Now, how fast do you find, did Andreas find in his testing, how fast did he find that the Dredge version of the Hogaak deck is? Is he finding that it's faster than the more traditional Hogaak deck?
I think that what he found mostly was that it's a bit slower to get a turn 2 Hogaak into play, but sort of the turns after that, it's just a more solid engine. So he's going to more reliably present more power and also have the reach in both the creeping chills and the conflict rates that we see in his hand also.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I know that I played against the Dredge Hogaak deck about a month or 2 ago, and it was really scary when you're watching your life total tick down from the creeping chills, and you're like, okay, let's see if we got the life from the loam here, and they got the conflict rate. How much life do you have? Oh, I'm actually just at 1 life. I'm just at
That's
1
a very interesting angle too. That deck can sort of present that the traditional Hogaak deck sort of sometimes has some issues with taking too much life loss and maybe even getting sort of raced by a burn deck or a similar variant like the mono red Phoenix decks as well. So that's sort of an upside that the Dredge deck has, that suddenly can gain like 6 to 9 life during the course of a game.
Yep. Now it looks like she's gonna have a pretty quick Hogaak here, especially with the Carrion Feeder being able to munch up that Stitcher supply or just be like yum yum yum.
Yep, and she even gets to bring back the Vengevine as well. So we do see that namesake 16 power actually precisely on turn 2 here.
All right.
Sending Andreas with quite a bit of headaches, I think.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a hand that looks like it's going to be well suited to fight against this next turn.
No, although he did find a Hogaak and a Prized Amalgam on the Dredge, and he can bring back the Bloodcast. I think he may need to loot, although he did not find another Dredger, so he has to find a sort of hope for the top cards to help him. But I think he needs another Bloodcast in the yard to bring back with a land, and then play the Hogaak off of those.
Yeah, one of the pieces of awkwardness here too is just that well, actually, can you do it with the let's see, the Dryad Arbor could do it, right?
The Dryad Arbor, yes, that's true. That could he has a Dryad Arbor in hand, so that could help convoke out the Hogaak along the Bloodcast. So that might be his preferred line of play, and then wait on the Cathartic Reunion to sort of for next turn. Since I really do think that he needs to put that Hogaak into play this turn to have a shot at blocking even.
Yeah, I think so.
At that point, maybe it's even looking pretty good because Jessica's sort of out of gas at this point. Although of course that's the Wayfinder may find some more.
Yeah, whereas Andreas will have like quite a lot of yeah, well, he has a full grip. He has a full grip, which sometimes you're like, hey, I have a full grip. Maybe in Dredge.
Sometimes cards in hand matters. Although in this particular matchup, maybe not as much as in others.
Yeah.
So let's see what he decides to discard. Probably a land and maybe that life from the loam.
Yeah, probably that. I mean, it could also get rid of the life from the loam and the creeping chill. Like, I don't think he's going to be casting the creeping chill anytime soon either.
No, but I mean, it is still a relevant play compared to maybe. I mean, he's already pretty. He has a lot of lands, so it's just if you wanted to have a Dredge ready for his next turn. Although this turn, I think he should definitely get out the Bloodcast, get out the Hogaak, and then the Prized Amalgam at end of turn, and then look to progress his board next turn with that Cathartic Reunion.
Yeah, and actually his board state is looking pretty good. As long he just blocks Hogaak on Hogaak, and he just looks in so much better shape than Jessica does because
he can then recast the Hogaak next turn, fill up the graveyard, recast the Hogaak. he might be able to stabilize against the 16 power in turn 2 that we saw.
I mean, he's got a cathartic reunion in hand. He's got the life from the limb, so he has a lot of ways to get
and
cards
maybe
into his bin relatively quickly.
Yeah, the Conflagrate is not there are not very many great targets on Jessica's side of the board. But maybe he'd want to even just go straight to the dome after one Hogaak attack. If he gets a couple turns to live. But let's see what Jessica finds off this Wayfinder. That might be really important.
Yeah, I guess what she really needs to hit are like maybe a bunch of blood ghasts here. Is that what she wants? Because I think her best bet is to go really wide here because Andreas doesn't have a. I mean, oof.
Yeah, I mean that carrion feeder can present a lot of issues as well for Andreas as a sort of a pseudo Hogaak that at least can grow to some size. All right, so she found a Grave Crawler, so that triggers the Vengine as the second creature spell.
Mm-hmm.
So good job on sacking that Stitcher Supplier to find some more action. Now she has a very wide board, and is this lethal? It's 8,
really close.
12, 13, 14. I think it's 15 exactly if she sacks the Hogaak that Andreas blocks here. So that should be enough, right? 8 from the Vengevines.
4, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, that's lethal.
Yeah.
As long as
so she did find it off that Stitcher Supply. Very well played. To see the maximum number of cards there to present lethal, and the turn before probably that Andrea stabilizes. So let's see if she wants to sack those that Hogaak, and yep, looks like she's going for it.
This is the stage of the game where I often find myself where I'm like, okay, I just find myself counting to the same number like 4 or 5
over
times.
And over and over again.
It's 15, right? And that's 15. Okay, let's just do it one more time. 15.
Yep. Exactly. All right. So we see the traditional ley lines go in.
Yep. Yeah, now we're gonna see some more of the Enforcer Vigors. Yeah, we're gonna see some more of the traditional Hogaak mirror stuff where, you know, sometimes you have 2 ley lines and people just stare really awkwardly at each other for a while, and
looks like some poor limited decks that they're playing actually.
Sometimes just one person has it, and then the game is just over. So
that's maybe. I mean, I guess that's maybe one of the issues that are with this deck. Besides it being so powerful, is that a lot of the sort of mirror or pseudo mirror games are non-games, just due to the fact that they, ley lines and the answer to ley line are it just polarizes the matchup so much that if one person has ley line, the other doesn't, then that person just wins, and the other way around.
Yeah, I think that's so. Like, I mean, I've played a lot of mirror matches in my life where there's been decks that are like very dominant, and like the post-sideboard games are still very interesting, right? Everybody just gets a little bit better, but here it's just like completely lopsided post-sideboard games, which is like also not. I mean, beside the fact that people are getting free 8/8s is also just not, I think, a great sign.
On top of that, I agree. All right, so it looks like Andreas has a hand that he brought from home. Perfect turn 1 play. He has the ley line as well. He doesn't have an answer to an opposing ley line though. Has way.
Oh, I think we
go.
Am I losing Andreas, or is Andreas losing me? I can't tell. This would be like the next. Or sorry, am I losing Thomas rather? Thomas, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
There we
can
go.
You hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Very good. All right. So Jessica has a hand with answers as well as some kind of enablers in the Wayfinder and the Lotlet Throw as well.
Yeah, but she's. I mean, like the ley line is going to put her just a couple turns back here. I mean, it's just going to put her really, really far behind. Like she'll deal with the thing, and then she has to start building up her board.
Exactly. And I mean, interestingly enough, in this matchup, both players are actually able to play a ley line that they draw later in the game if necessary. So that's not always the case when people are bringing in ley line, but these 2 decks can both produce black mana if they need to.
Yeah, although I suspect that in my experience, it's probably a little bit too late. You know, usually when I've been playing Tron against this matchup, and I'm like, okay, All right, I've got a turn 1 relic. I could pop it on turn 2. Oh no, that's just too slow.
Too late.
That's just too slow. Well, that's how it goes sometimes. So.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So Andreas, he trades 3 Stinkweeds in, which of course, incidentally, is an answer to Hogaak in the fact that it has sort of death touch or whatever they call death touch before it being a thing.
Yeah. I don't think, it's weird. Because did Stinkweed predate death touch? When did death touch? I don't remember
believe
exactly
it
when
did,
death
yes.
touch.
It was
Okay.
first printed in Ravnica a long time ago before I think they made death touch evergreen word in probably M10. There was a lot of, that's also when they changed rules for lifelink, I think. So, but looks like Andreas filled up his yard, didn't find any Narcomoebas to get the Prowess Amalgams into play. He does have a Hogaak, at least I can see, and he has a Conflagrate as well.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, a lot of spells, it looks like.
Yeah, it doesn't look like his. I mean, it's really hard to say here because that Cathartic Reunion is going to do a lot. I think is going to do a lot to put. I suspect by the end of turn 3 here, it's going to look. The board is going to look very different. We aren't going to just
Yes,
see a singular.
he's already put half the deck into the graveyard. Another third of it. Okay, looks like he chooses to play the Life from the Loam here. To get some lands into play. He probably found a couple of Bloodghast maybe further down the graveyard to get that Hogaak into play. And Jessica's hand doesn't have an answer readily available, although she can produce a Vengevine as well as fill up the graveyard a little more next turn with the Wayfinder.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit slower because while this Life from the Loam does keep him land neutral because he, he's gonna get a land back here that he lost, but it's gonna make it so that he can't do this Cathartic Reunion this turn. But I think that's probably okay, given that I don't know how many prized amalgams we're gonna see, but it's at least one. I can see the
it looks like one amalgam and then the Hogaak that comes into play here. So a quick clock from Andreas' side, and Jessica's gonna have some issues just blocking these guys coming in because that's a lot of power, and that Conflagrate in the yard as well is also threatening to deal damage or remove some blockers if necessary.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that when you account for the fact that Hogaak just randomly has trample, that just his life total is low enough that Conflagrate is going to finish this game off here. I don't think there's any way for her to even get out of this. She needs to get a Hogaak here, and I don't know how she could have done it there, but
no, it appears that she did not find one at least. And Andreas next turn he has 7 cards in hand, so he can deal 7 to Jessica, and then he has 8 trample from the Hogaak, and then
he'll get to Loam, so he'll go up to 7 down to 6 up to 9 cards. So he'll have a pretty sizable Conflagrate just kind of sitting there as well. So,
and if he finds a Bloodghast, then he can Conflagrate pre-combat and then play a land and get more Bloodghast that are hasty into play. Jessica can block with 6 toughness, it looks like. So even if she blocks
7 toughness if she decides to oh no, that's a Force of Vigor, my apologies.
That's she's ready for Leyline number 2, but I don't think that's what's going to come this turn.
Yep, I think I think we're going to see another game where the person who swings with that Hogaak first is going to walk away with the W here.
That's usually a winning strategy, but although at least in this game we had some interaction in the form of the turn 1 Leyline plus Nature's Claim. So
I guess that is a form of interaction where you have your sideboard card is trying to interact with the sideboard card that they brought in to deal with their sideboard card. It's all sideboard cards all the way down.
Yep. So is there even a way for her to survive this turn? Putting as much toughness in front of that's 5. Yeah, it looks like she'll survive on 1 life. If Andreas had attacked with that Stature Supplier, that looks like it would have been lethal, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised he didn't attack with it because
he wanted to die anyway, probably. But maybe
worst case,
just a counterattack and feels like the only way he can lose is to her bringing back 4 Vengevines or something next turn. Who knows? But
that's true.
Yeah, there's not really any risk here for him, as Jessica has no way to deal him any meaningful amount of damage next turn, and he can just.
Yeah, I think he can just slow, like, you know, his board position is so dominant here after that attack that he can afford to just slow roll it. Like, there's just nothing.
Yeah, although he will choose to fill up the yard. Oh no, she already used the loam. Okay. Yeah, so he's just gonna fill up the yard a little more. And he should have lethal next turn in a number of different ways.
Yep.
All right. Well, if he had played the Cathartic Union pre-combat, he could of course have found all the bloodgas, but then
bloodgas conflagrated right here, and then it would have for sure been.
Yeah, but I mean, then Jessica could have blocked differently, because then he wouldn't have conflagrated mana this turn. I don't think it would have mattered much.
No, I think this game is already long over.
Yep, and Jessica sees the writing on the wall, and we're going to game 3 in this very exciting Hogaak on Hogaak pseudo mirror. Let's call it that.
I'm glad you're saying that it's exciting. I am excited too. You know what? I'm excited. I am excited to see this card banned. I have been, you know, I'm kind of a Jenny. I like to build weirdo, goofy, silly decks. And you know, 5 years ago, Modern was great for that. Like, you could build all sorts of silly decks, and then over time, it's gotten faster and faster. And
yep, I agree.
You could sometimes build a silly deck at the fringe that would do pretty decent. That would at least be like good here. Like, you could bring it here and hope to have a good matchup.
Yeah, I agree.
But now it's just like, I can't. There's no silly decks that are able to.
Yeah, there's very little room to play around with when the decks have become this powerful, which I guess makes sense just from the printing of cards throughout the years, that it's sort of tough to keep everything in line, and that's why we need to sometimes to moderate the format a little.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being happy when Extended went away, because like, well, oh, this is nice. Extended is a little confusing, you know.
Yeah.
You still got rotations, but it's like so long. Like, what is legal and what's not? But then like,
yeah, that makes sense.
Modern has like doubled its lifespan, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think it's existed for its own lifetime now. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, it's really difficult, I think, to keep a format balance.
To keep everything in check.
Yep.
But we see here Andreas with a leyline and lands and an engine in hand. Wow, it's actually almost the same hand as in game 2, with enablers, a leyline. No answer to an opposing leyline though, but I think he will take it. Jessica, I think, mulliganed her first hand, and now she's looking at a hand of 6, which has a lot of good cards, and even an answer to a leyline, although in the form of Assassin's Trophy, so a bit slower.
Yeah, but it's still like very slow for her, and like the leyline is, she's gonna probably have to loot, right, just to get to a second
land. So she loses some of that value.
Yeah. It almost makes me wonder if she's gonna mulligan to 5 and hope to hit a leyline. Like, the odds are pretty good that you hit, like with the 1 mulligan, that you hit a leyline, at least eventually, right? So
yeah. And I mean, looking at Andreas' hand, that is very, very powerful. That may be her best option at this point, although of course she doesn't know that he has both the leyline and enables in hand, which, you know, sometimes in these post-board games, the Hogaak decks will sort of become a little slower and maybe take a more conventional way of putting damage on the board, because they've added all these cards to the deck that doesn't really do anything for the engine, but just sort of tries to answer the opposing graveyard strategies.
Yeah, and I saw that a lot at GP Minneapolis here last weekend, where, you know, people were really aggressively mulliganing to leylines and found themselves in a spot where they were just dying to 2-1s and 1-1s and stuff. Like, you just didn't have enough other answers other than the leyline.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and even in the Hogaak, none of the creatures are really that good at blocking. So looks like Jessica has to throw away 2 of the important cards here, a Bloodghast and a Hogaak, and she did not find another land critically for that Assassin's Trophy.
That's extremely rough, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, I guess like the grave card does put a little pressure on the board, but it's not very much. So I'm surprised that she decided to didn't decide to pitch. All right, well that's a good start for her.
All right, yeah, we have a start now. She found the Overgrown Tomb for the trophy. Although looking at Andreas' hand, he has a lot of Great opportunities here to get a lot of cards in the yard.
Yeah, I mean,
hopefully find a Hogaak too, so we can get that into play as soon as possible.
His hand is very outstanding. He's got now he's got dredgers in the bin. He's got he's got some like pretty good answers.
And he put a Bloodghast, an Amalgam. He has the Hogaak as well. He found, I think he whiffed on the second dredge. Or maybe he found one other dredger, but it seems like he did not dredge 3 times.
I don't think it's gonna matter here though, because like next turn he's gonna play a land. He'll get back a Bloodghast.
Yeah, he'll even get it back now from the Assassin's Trophy. But Jessica smartly waits until the end of turn so that the prize Amalgam, well, it won't really be important, but it will enter the at the end of Jessica's
her turn. Yeah. But like even still, the fact that there's just gonna be, I mean, we're just looking at Hogaak, which is easily castable for free here. Like we didn't even get to see.
But even without Hogaak, I mean, Andreas has 6 power, and Jessica's creatures can block. So, and he has a Conflagrate in the yard as well. So there's definitely some issues for Jessica here.
Yeah, actually, you know, I wasn't sure when I was just looking at the lists before the night, and I was like, I'm not sure which deck is favored, but like having watched this, the fact that Jessica can, you know, even if she blocks, if she gets a Hogaak and blocks a Hogaak, like she's just still way far behind because the dredge deck just gets to bring it back again and again and again and again. And
yeah,
deck just
they have better routes to replaying that. That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's also sort of the consensus, at least from what I gathered of experiences from the Mythic Championship, was that the players on the Hogaak Dredge deck were favored in the matchup against the other Hogaak decks. So maybe that is also what we see play out here. Although Andreas has had really, really great draws in games 2 and 3. We must add that as well.
Yeah, I mean, both of his hands would have been like ideal 6s, even like like really good 6s if you just like close your eye and you're like, I don't see that ley line. This is still a pretty decent hand.
Exactly. It had it just happened to also have a ley line in hand, which is of course backbreaking in this matchup. Although Jessica's, I guess, I mean, if it doesn't have that ley line, she gets to bring back the Bloodghast and the Vengevine and put some pressure on Andreas. But ultimately, he found the Hogaak first in any case. So it's definitely looking tough. Yep. And Jessica sees the writing on the wall there.
Yep. And that's that. Wow, that was hopefully. I think we got one more week of the Super League before the 26th. So that might just be one of the last Hogaak versus Hogaak matchups that the public will be so lucky to get to watch. So
yeah, maybe there'll be one feature match at the Grand Prix Las Vegas that may include a Hogaak deck. We'll have to see if anyone decides to bring it to that tournament.
Yeah. Do you think they'll make any other changes? I mean, you know, you look at it and you're like, well, I mean, maybe they decide to kill the graveyard decks for good. And do you think they go and add Faithless Looting to the list?
I mean, I think Faithless Looting is just a fun card to play with, and it enables a lot of strategies. And I think that sort of just trying to keep those busted in sort of payoff cards like Hogaak and Bridge from Below at this point in check is sort of the way to go, because I think people just love Faithless Looting. It's a fun card to play with, even if it is very, very powerful. So yeah, I think they should keep it around at least.
I think you're probably right. I suspect it will end up looking like, I was looking at it today. I was looking at Storm, and all of the cards that in Modern that like Storm has been somewhat directly or indirectly responsible for killing.
Oh, sure.
And it's so long. You've got like Pro Moxes and 2 Rituals, and you've got like, the list was so long. Preordain and Ponder, and like it's absolute madness. And I think that's probably what is going to happen with this, is like people like Faithless Leading so much that we're just gonna keep adding to the list. We'll have Hogaak, Golgari Grave Troll, and Bridge from Below until
and maybe next time don't give it Trample. Who knows?
Maybe like it would actually be. I mean, it would still be pretty insane without Trample, right? But like,
I agree.
Imagine if you could just if you could just chump it with your Citrus Supplier,
exactly,
Noble Hierarch, or whatever, it would be.
Yep.
You could still be a good strategy, but
at least.
Yeah, I agree.
All
Grab it,
right,
they're fun.
so Mage Market goes up 2-1 now. Next up, we have an interesting matchup, I'm sure. Although, let's just see what that is.
We're going to be seeing Cheerios. So Michael's going to be on Cheerios. And
Yep,
I'm going to
so
be
Michael's on Cheerios.
And I'm on Red Deck Wins, which was played by hometown hero Ryan Overturf.
In
A top four last weekend in a
very,
field
very
of
cool.
Hogaaks. So this is going to be a really interesting matchup. I actually have no idea. Although I suspect that any deck that has Cheerios in the name is probably weak to Eidolon. But we'll see.
I would imagine. Although I don't think deck play recommended to anyway. But we'll see how it plays out. Stay tuned for round 4 of the Team Modern Super League.
All right. Thank you.
CoolStuffInc.com is your home for everything Magic the Gathering. Need singles for constructed or kitchen table play? Looking to pick up some sealed product or the latest in Magic accessories? We've got you covered with our extensive live inventory. With free shipping on orders of $100 or more, a 25% buy list bonus, and our ever-popular customer rewards program, CoolStuffInc.com is the place for all your Magic the Gathering needs.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I'm Andreas. I'm joined here by Jessica, and we just had an interesting match, I should say. So, what's your thoughts about it in the aftermath?
I mean, it was a very, very skill-intensive and interesting matchup. I don't know. I think like game 1 I won the die roll. It obviously put me in favor of winning. Obviously, putting 16 power into play turn 2 was really important, and a turn 3 kill lined it up.
Yeah.
Games 2 and 3 didn't go so well for me. While I could answer your ley line, the hand didn't necessarily function as well as it was meant to. With you being on the play in game 2 as well, I was just so far behind that I couldn't put as much together to be able to keep up with what you were doing, as well as improve my own gameplay. And then we saw game 3, which functioned a little similarly.
Yeah, because both games I was fortunate to have a hand with leyline in my opening 7, and the hand was still functional or even good, one could argue. And you're kind of on the back foot. One part is being on the draw, as you said. Another one is I noticed you took a mulligan both games, so that means you're a bit low on resources.
Yeah.
And even game 3, you had to faithless looting turn 1, which puts you down a card, and those go into exile, so they're not gonna get you any value later. So I just figured that even though you had an answer for leyline, I would be in good shape for the factors you described and what I just added. So So how did your opening sevens look like in those two games? I'm interested if you mulligan a functional hand looking for answer for leyline or leyline itself, or it was just unplayable hands.
So for game 3, my hand was not functional. It was a 0 lander, and therefore not something I could even conceive. I couldn't even keep. Game 2, I don't remember my hand specifically. I'm not the strictest of mulliganer, of mulliganing, which is kind of why I kept 6s that could answer a leyline and could also develop some sort of game plan. But I think someone who was a little more strict than I was may have gone to 5, especially in game 3. But most of the 7s, like some of them you just can't keep. There are going to be hands where you're hard casting a Seder Wayfinder. You're playing out this fair game of like maybe a 1-drop 2-1 and a 2-drop 1-1, and that's not really what Hogaak is looking to do.
No, and I think that's interesting, the philosophy, because you're definitely right. In a vacuum, you want to be looking at an unfair hand, but you also need to consider the leyline or the void sub game that's going on. So sometimes the random 2-1s is what you got to work with, and maybe they can get the job done. But yeah, I definitely I'm on the same page as you. I'm not the best at mulliganing, so I also have some hands from time to time where an even better player at mulliganing would maybe throw it back. So I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, generally speaking, when someone playing the mirror or a leyline of the void kind of mirror where we're both on graveyard based decks, if they go into the tank about their 7, my mind is usually either thinking they have the leyline and their hand is either fine or can kind of get through but not really good. Or they
so did you get the read that I was in the tank?
So, I mean, both games 2 and 3, my idea was that you had the leyline and you had a hand that could get it together but wasn't necessarily broken. And it was kind of confirmed where game 3 you went Mana Confluence into a Blackleaf Cliffs. And considering your turn 1 play was a Stitcher Supplier, it told me that you drew the Blackleaf Cliffs. A turn 1 Mana Confluence doesn't lend to a handful of strong lands, and so you were really leaning on the leyline and kind of your first couple of plays to get you there.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, because I actually just from seeing both of my opening hands, I knew they were snap keeps, and I actually just walked around my room for like 30 seconds to get you to think about the different scenarios. But so in game 3, I had more lands. I just didn't have a black producing one. So but yeah, it's definitely to get your thoughts going on what's going on. But in the end, I don't think it matters too much. You're gonna mulligan on non-functional hands no matter what. You're gonna keep playable hands no matter what. But I like small mind games like that.
Of course, and I think in game 2, you leylined me after being in the tank for a bit, and then your hand was still more than I would consider something that you'd want to think about. So in game 3, when you kind of like took a while and kept, I was like, sure, it's fine. I'm sure he's gonna leyline me and it's gonna be fine. Which, for all intents and purposes, is what influenced my London mulligan decision on my 6. So I had the option to put an Assassin's Trophy to the bottom and have a much better start if you didn't leyline me. But the hand did nothing if you did leyline me, and the Assassin's Trophy was on the bottom. And so I played it a little safe, but I hedged towards the graveyard hate.
Yeah, and
so I think you would have mulliganed at least once if you didn't have a leyline, unless your hand was like super broken.
Yeah, because I'm gonna keep just a good dredge hand with no leyline or no answers to leyline. I'm just gonna keep most hands in that spot. But yeah, definitely some interesting things going on. Next up on our plate, we have my man Michael Bondi on a Cheerios deck. Are you familiar with that deck?
I'm familiar in that I know it exists, but
me too.
I understand how it plays, but it's not a deck I would personally.
And what is he up against?
He's up against mono red Prowess in the hands of April King.
So it sounds like a race, and our players are ready. So let's take a look here. You can talk about April's situation here if you want.
Yeah, so we're looking at a 7 that looks really mediocre. Obviously, any hand where you can turn 1 Faithless Looting can, untap you into a completely different hand.
Yeah.
But this is something I wouldn't necessarily keep, especially if you know you're against another deck that's gonna it's gonna force you to win early. You can't. She's not interacting with too much of what Michael's attempting to do, apart from killing the pure steals and the SRAMs. So she does take a mulligan, as we see.
She does take a mulligan. I was about to mention that Lava Dart, if you're flooded, it takes care of a creature from Michael's side in a pinch where you don't really need the additional mountain. But of course, this hand looks a lot better, and I'm expecting her to bottom the Reveler here. because that's okay. She bottoms a land. That's interesting.
I agree with bottoming the Reveler, but obviously she's viewing the game a little differently than we might be. How do you feel about Michael's hand?
Yeah, Michael has what he wants here. He has a creature, he has some equipment, he has the lands to cast it. So you can't really mulligan there, but you need to chain together some equipment here. And also the repeal might buy him some time if he finds himself with 2 mana available in the face of a huge prowess creature.
Yeah, that's correct. I think we're really looking for a good draw step from April here, either from her draw step naturally or through the crash through.
Yeah, she needs to keep the engine going here. If I guess that's what you're referring to, because next turn is not going to look super impressive as it looks right now.
Even the Lava Spike, like, we're happy to see an Instant or Sorcerer because it's going to help power out that Bedlam Reveler. But ultimately, it would have been nice to see something that's cantripping and really just pushing this game plan ahead, because Michael has the potential to have a pretty big turn here.
Oh yeah, and with no spot removal in sight for April, letting Michael untap one more time could be lethal.
Letting him untap could be lethal. Even this turn is gonna.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be
easy. he's looking good so far. So what this deck is trying to do is chain together a bunch of 0 mana equipments while having either a Pure Steel Paladin or SRAM on the battlefield. Then you want to find a Mox Opal here mid combo to use the Retract in Michael's hand. He fails to do so, but next turn he can go again. He gets to protect his creature here from the red-based burn spells.
That's correct. Even just protecting it means that. Well, for one, attacking for April is going to be hard, and for two, killing this creature is, I believe, going to be near impossible.
10 toughness is a lot.
It is. We see a light up the stage.
That's a great draw.
I think it's going to be difficult for the stream team to take down game 1 here. Just
yeah, things aren't looking too good.
No. But I think the post-board games might be a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what you got to improve your matchup, because on the surface it's 2 goldfishy decks and ours is just a little bit faster.
Yeah, yours is a little bit faster. As we just saw, you can kind of run out half of your combo, protect a little bit, and then untap and keep going.
Yeah,
and
for
it
sure.
just brick walls the plan that Mono Red is kind of putting up. This game would have gone a little differently had we been able to kill the Pure Steel Paladin. But
sure.
as you said, there was not a removal spell in sight.
April wants to get in for some damage.
Yeah.
So let's see if Michael is able to. He's going to attack first. That's cool.
I mean, he may as well,
Yeah.
Notably, the idea of this deck isn't to just equip the creature with a bunch of artifacts that get through for 20.
So yeah, getting another bear onto the battlefield means Michael is drawing 12 cards instead of 6, so the risk of him failing this turn drops dramatically.
It is quite unlikely that Michael fails. However, we're still live for him to mill himself out. So we're going to play to our outs and continue on with this turn.
If you're banking on him not finding the red mana source in Grape Shot, then yeah, I'm not liking
April
your
had
luck.
a little bit more faith than I did. So
yeah.
Having a look at the sideboards, though, how do you expect Michael to be boarding in this matchup?
Michael has 4 copies of Breton Forge Tender, which can pull double duty in the sense that it can block a prowess non-trample prowess creature for days, and it can also protect your combo creatures from removal spells. So I think that should be what he's adding here, and we're cutting some role players like Repeal, Hercule's Recall, and Noxious Revival to make room.
Sure. April's sideboard is built in kind of an interesting way in that, she has the Abrade, she has something like a Dismember, and obviously she has a Shenanigans. the way that I assume this matchup plays out is not by us destroying artifacts. It's by us removing the bear as it is played. So what I can see being brought in is for sure the Dismember.
Oh yeah.
I could see Flame Slash being brought in, but I can't say I'm the biggest fan of it being a sorcery speed spell.
Yeah.
So I'm
Michael...
on bring in the Dismember, and I like it there. Maybe a couple of the Abrades for more instant speed removal.
Yeah, the thing is, I really want to get rid of, if I'm in April's seat, I really want to get rid of the Bedlam Revelers, because at the time you're casting that card, I assume you're winning anyway.
Yeah.
So it depends how many cards you can actually put in. See, I don't like that she's boarding out. What's the trample card called? Crash Through. I really don't like that, because looking at Michael's deck list, he has 4 Barenton Forge Tenders, and you really don't want that card to just block your 4 or 5 Swift Spear all day.
Yeah. I think that our approaches to this matchup seem to be a little bit different to how April would approach it.
Yeah.
Bedlam Reveler, as you said, it's looking to play kind of like almost a value game, or it's looking to push you ahead when again you're playing a value or base matchup.
Yeah, when you're kind of running out of steam. That's my philosophy anyway.
And I don't think that's how I'm taking this matchup.
Yeah.
Michael has kept a 1-lander though, which is interesting. It's a very strong hand if it does come through though.
Yeah, and the Grape Shot was, I guess that was the worst draw in the deck actually. You really don't want that card until you're going off like last game.
You want to find it as opposed to have it?
Yeah, for sure. I want it to be the absolute last card in my deck every game. I don't want it here. It's basically like a mulligan. So here we see a cool interaction with Light Up the Stage and a 1-land hand. It can really help you dig to your second land and make more hands keepable.
Yes, we can. We don't get to see what's exiled, but it doesn't look like one of them was a land.
No. And on the other hand, Michael finds a land, and he has...
there we go. We've got a Crash Through and a Soulscar Mage to be played next turn, or they're exiled forever.
Yeah. So now Michael gets to put a lot of pressure on April by top taking his second land and then start drawing cards.
And he's got the Mox Opals as well. I don't know if there's technically a kill here that we can go for, but I believe that he's in a position to find one, potentially.
Yeah, I think what he wants to do here is just, as you see here, he abuses the legendary rule by floating mana, then playing out the second Mox Opal to get a second bear onto the battlefield, so that he draws 2 cards off of the equipment. But no kill in sight, just a bunch of bears. And looking at April's draw, a bunch of bears might get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, Bear Beatdown is probably going to be good enough here. They're both 5+ toughness, and we've got 1 creature and no land. Hopefully, the Faithless Looting here gets us.
Yeah, I was about to say, you probably Faithless Looting and hope to find a land so that you can play one of the cards exiled from Light Up the Stage.
Yeah, I think getting rid of the Bedlam Reveler here is probably what I'm doing. As well as a Monastery Swift Spirits. It's not exactly crashing through. No pun intended, obviously.
Yeah, so 1 Swift Spear hits the bin.
We've kept the Bedlam Reveler.
Yeah, April is determined to make that card shine. Currently at 3 instants of sorceries in the graveyard, so not too far away.
No, but so Michael doesn't have either a Retract or any other equipment, so Bear Beatdown is what we're going to see here.
Oh yeah.
Luckily for the stream team, SRAM is legendary, so we're not just going to have 4 creatures in play.
That's a good point that I didn't even think about. So Michael's plan of beating down with Grizzly Bears just looks a little worse than I first anticipated.
Pure Steel Paladin does have Vigilance.
Here's a cool play.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about keeping the Bedlam Reveler and then sacrificing a mountain. But
no, I'm not sure that April planned this. I think she just saw like a clever line and got tempted here. And of course, Michael has the second Stram to punish that play that she had no idea about.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
All right,
So
we're Faithless Looting.
yeah,
really
we're back to leaning on Faithless Looting to find enough lands.
Some people on Twitter call this the brainstorm of Modern. So
I think that's fair. It's the closest you'll get.
Very unfortunate. We're seeing an interesting game here, but neither deck is kind of doing what its written down game plan is.
Yeah, the dangerous part is that we have so many good top decks on our side, and
Absolutely.
you don't really have a lot of stuff that you can draw that has a huge impact right away.
Yeah, I mean, our best top deck is a basic mountain.
Yeah. So did April get to 6 in the yard now?
So we're at a light up the stage, a Faithless Looting, a Lava Dart, and a Faithless Looting.
So just
which I
4.
believe is... Yeah.
So yeah, now Michael is off to the races.
Yeah, we found 3. We're going to be drawing 2 cards each time. The path to exile isn't super necessary here, especially since we've already found the Grape Shot.
Yeah, this should be over. Michael even has the luxury to play out a third one to make sure that he's drawing 6 cards from the artifacts in hand already. Retract at this point is game over.
A retract is game over, and there we have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
April sees the writing on the wall. Yeah, that was kind of a strange match because I would have expected the red Prowess deck to also put up a pretty solid turn 3.5 goldfish kill. That's my experience playing the deck.
Yeah.
But we didn't really see that, and April was just kind of on her back foot the whole match, while Michael had the stellar draws.
Yeah, I mean, a combination of the draws that April saw, putting them in a very unfortunate place, made it a little more difficult for Mono Red to put up that fight.
Definitely.
Would have been nice to see both decks goldfish once, and then obviously come through an interesting game 3. But...
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so now 3-1 down. Do you have it in you to make the comeback?
Do I have it in me? I'm gonna do my best. Up next, we have me on blue-white control versus Thomas on Esper control.
This is what I've been looking forward to all night. Basically, I want to see a control matchup, old school Magic. I really want to see some haymakers jammed onto the battlefield, some cryptic command action. Yeah, that's this is my favorite spot in the night.
I have been playing Control Mirrors all day, so I'm looking forward to hopefully doing it again and just winning this one.
Yeah, so Jessica, best of luck, and
Thank you so much.
Thanks for doing commentating with me. I'll see you all after the break.
Of course.
CoolStuffInc.com is your home for everything Magic the Gathering. Need singles for constructed or kitchen table play? Looking to pick up some sealed product or the latest in Magic accessories? We've got you covered with our extensive live inventory. With free shipping on orders of $100 or more, a 25% buy list bonus, and our ever-popular customer rewards program, CoolStuffInc.com is the place for all your Magic the Gathering needs.
Hello there, and welcome back to Team Modern Super League. I'm Michael Bonde. I'm here with April King. And
Hello.
we just, and we just fought it out, April.
Yeah, that was a beating. I was like, okay, in the second game, I was like, I have these 2 lava darts, and I'm on the play, and all I need to do is draw a land in those top 4 or 5 cards. I think it was 4 cards because I had 1 for the first draw, and then 2, 3, 4 cards.
Yeah.
4 cards, and I was like, okay, I've got this. I can deal with at least 2, possibly more of the cantripping lords at instant speed, and then I just missed my land drops, and it was a little too late for that. But
yeah, so there's 8 spot removal basically with the lava darts for one of the Strams or the what's it called, Palace. Paladin,
Pure Steel Paladin, yeah.
Pure Steel Paladin, yeah. So I was a bit worried if you would actually get there. I think you can goldfish and I can goldfish. I'm a bit faster, but you have more like ways of actually interacting after or before board at least. The board team fortune there put some pressure on their interactions after the board.
Yeah, after board, I just get to bring in a whole bunch of like really good spot removal and take out things like lava spike and stuff that don't really, like end the game quicker, but that's not how the game is played. Like that's not how this game is played. So, but anyways, that's how it goes sometimes. That's just magic. And I'm like, as I was saying during the break, I'm like so sick right now. I'm like really excited for a very quick match so I can go take a nap. So we're gonna be playing. Let's see, what does it have right here? We got oh god, oh no, oh god, I'm in trouble. Well, I guess I won't be going to sleep for another couple hours. It could be a while.
No, because it is blue-white against Esper control, and it's a very Wafutaba-ish control. And if people don't know what that is, it's all the Yankee 3-drops in an Esper shell. That's basically it. And then we have Jess on a more streamlined blue-white deck that is way better in the matchup. That's I think that's the way to put it.
Yeah, I think so. Like, in at least in my experience playing Modern, I've played blue-white control mostly in Legacy, but I've played a good deal of blue-white control in Modern. Badly, you know how it is with control in Modern. You just commit to losing when you play a Hallowed Fountain. But I always feel like the decks that have more than 2 colors, like Esper and Jeskai control, they traditionally like have better answers to the non-control decks. But the blue-white deck is just so much more solid in the mirror, in a control mirror. So I think this is a good matchup. But you know what? Things like discard and stuff can actually go a long ways to making sticking a threat and then just kind of running the game out quickly. So
yeah, I agree. There are some like Jess has a lot of the three mana planeswalkers, which are pretty hard to deal with this particular build of Esper. But the Esper deck has like all these sorts of random small interactions like Kaya's Guile and cards that are similar to that. So let's see if they actually get to utilize all the different entwine things on a card like Kaya's Guile.
And it's definitely going to be I think we're about to start here. So let's get started so I can go to sleep sometime. Probably, I'm guessing August 16th or 17th. That could be.
So, what do we have here on both sides on the battlefield, April?
So it looks like Jess's hand is like pretty good here. I mean, she's got a couple dead cards. Like the Path to Exile is usually just not that good. And D-Sphere is just, it's medium. It's an okay answer, but usually it means you're getting 2 for 1.
Yeah.
And Thomas is in kind of the same boat. Like he has a Fatal Push that doesn't do much, but Snapcasters is like one of the best cards in the matchup. So we'll see. The fact that Jess will have an early Teferi, I think it gives her a real edge up here. I mean, I think it might end up for. Oh, jeez. Okay. I don't know. Possibly an early Narset. It's going to probably force Thomas into trying to just play out his Snapcasters as ambush vipers to get in there on those planeswalkers, but it's just really left being able to shut off all of Thomas's interaction. So.
Yeah, and Thomas is bottoming a Teferi, like the big Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, because he needs the land drops here. So that is what Op does. It gives you the land drops, but you have to sometimes put away some of your like really good cards, and he draws an additional Jace here that can like play around the tension sphere, but it's not
super good against Narset. It's not the best against Narset. I found it in my legacy matches. And actually, the fact that Thomas played Celestial Colonnade here is like a pretty big deal because it means that he can't just snap out Snapcaster here. Just start pressuring the Teferi right away. So now he's like, it's just this like incredibly awkward spot where he's like, well, do I just main phase a Snapcaster Mage here and then what? It just gets Path to Exiled or whatever. Like it's just really a rough spot to be in here.
Yeah, but on the other side, I think like bouncing a Snapcaster is also a pretty awkward spot to be in, and also pathing so that Thomas gets his land so that he can play Jace or Teferi. So I think he's gonna go with the up play here, since it's the only play that he has.
He can really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this puts Jess like in a. I mean, he does get to opt, you know, so that's like pretty nice. But the fact that Jess is going to be able to tick up Teferi, path the Snapcaster, and then slam a Narset and like shut down those like really nice looking Chase the Mind Sculptors that are just like chilling out in Thomas's hand that just really don't do much at all.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that you call it blue-white control and Esper control. Oh, someone is
Okay.
Oh, is it a cat?
Go to bed. Sorry, I just said this is my kid. I don't know if you could see him on the stream.
Okay. It's funny that we call it like a blue-white control and Esper control because it's there's almost no counter spells, and usually there's a lot of counter spells in. And as soon as I said that, Jess draws the Force of Negation and
the Cryptic Command,
which are namesake control cards. So
yeah, I think that might probably put this game away here. It really locks Thomas out of a bunch of answers, and as he predicted, we're gonna have these extremely quick control matchups as they usually go. So I can go to bed right away. Just gonna snap off some sleep. It's gonna be great.
I think, as we talked, me and Thomas and Andreas were like, we're really afraid of the 3-mana planeswalkers. I think Jess is playing 5, or you are playing 5 in total of the 3-mana, 2 Teferi and 3 Narset, and they're just so good against this deck.
Yeah, and they really, I mean, they've been like very good in any format where you can actually play a control deck, and it's just. It makes it rough because, like, you know, typically when you play a control deck, you want to be able to just, you know, play your threat out, have some counters up to keep you safe. And the fact that that Teferi locks out that option for you and does it so efficiently and like cantrips to boot, like it's just really, really tough. So.
And as Mollybuck in the chat is saying, honestly, how close is Thomas to already dead? And I would say, honestly, Mollybuck, he is very close to that.
I think he's extremely close to that.
For the viewing part because it's such a fast matchup.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Thomas tries to do on his turn. I suspect he might just like hope that animating Celestial Colonnade is going to get there.
Yeah.
But he's going to find out when that Path to Exile comes down that it's not going to be enough, I think.
Yeah, but I also think that like trying to cheese with the Colonnade here to try and get rid of one of the cards is probably the way. But it looks like he's gonna play the Jace.
I mean, this is not the worst because like there's a good chance that, you know, Jess will Cryptic the Jace, which is, you know, solid. And then I think he might just slam down the Snapcaster to put a little pressure down.
Yeah. Oh, and more. Yeah. So he's fetching. So he's probably gonna play the Snapcaster. 3 Snapcasters.
I mean, normally that would be a fantastic set of things to draw. You just got your 2-for-1s. Yeah. You have ways to pressure planeswalkers, but Jess's draws have been very good. And Teferi like makes Oust actually a good answer to Snapcaster Mage because, you know, it's a source you could cast on their turn. It's great.
Yeah.
Super
yeah,
fun.
It's fun how these how usually like the Esper deck and the blue-white deck really utilizes the power of Snapcaster, like getting to just recast spells all the time. But this time, bounce the Snapcaster, path the Snapcaster. Just doesn't care because there's these 2 insane planeswalkers on the battlefield. And now Jace says hello to the battlefield, making it a Super Friends game.
Yep. Although this does, like, It does have like there is a little bit of downside with playing this J set here, namely that should Thomas activate his Colonnade, he will be able to kill Narset, assuming he sends both cards at Narset. Which I mean, I guess I don't know if he's going to do, but like he might very well send both cards at Narset, just to be able to draw some cards again. But
yeah, but by drawing the logic knot here, he might just send the one to Teferi and then the Snapcaster to Narset, because Narset is not going anywhere. It's gonna die to one of the Snapcasters eventually, I think.
Yep.
Let's see if he actually wants to pressure both Planeswalkers and putting Jessica on the spot, what she thinks is the most important threat on the board.
And normally I'm not a fan of like giving my opponent a choice about what they can do, but the fact that Teferi is at 4 loyalty means that he doesn't have a lot of options here.
So he actually did attack Teferi with both, I think.
Okay.
Not giving away too much. But sometimes when you give the opponent the opportunity to do something, their choice is also a showing of what they think is important and what their hand might have. So
sure,
sometimes it can be a strategic upside, but in this case, I think Thomas is just not wanting the Teferi on the board, since it stifles all the spells that he has.
Yeah, I think if I was Thomas, I think I would be reaching for my right click button, reaching for the concede game right about here. I think I wonder if Jess is going to play out timely, because it does like, block these Snapcasters. I guess she can do it at instant speed with Teferi, so that's pretty slick.
Yeah, so let's see if she does that. It would be pretty neat to snipe it here, since Thomas cannot play anything and she still has the force negation. So I think, yeah, Thomas had enough of torture, and
looks like he did. He reached for the right click.
Yeah,
the right click of.
He did the actual right click. So did you talk about what you're playing, or was it like more of an individual thing about the sideboarding here? What are you sideboarding?
You mean for our team or for this matchup here?
Yes. For your team, or for the matchup here in particular, if it was only Jess or if you had some.
I think here it was just only Jess. I'm super busy with being a full-time job and being a mom, and so like, a lot of this is just like trying to stuff whatever time I can do. So like, but Jess is an excellent player, so she's pretty good at figuring out what she needs to be sideboarding here, which I think, we're going to be taking out some pass, we're going to be taking about ousts. They just don't do a lot in this matchup. And just bring in your typical anti-control cards with the addition of, looks like she might be keeping in the pass, actually. But bringing in Monastery Mentor, which is sweet tech. I remember the first time I saw that played against me in a control mirror many years ago, and I was like, wow, I am just so dead. I'm like really, really dead right now, aren't I? That's great.
It can really take over a game, an unchecked Monastery Mentor.
Yep. And what about Thomas? What is he going to be looking to bring in here?
I'm also like doing the full-time dad thing, so it was actually up to Thomas and and Andreas to do the sideboarding on the Esper. They also like kind of build it from scratch with the Wafutapas list in mind, and also Arne Huschenbach. But Thomas is also taking out as much of the spot removal. It's really geared towards like mono red and red deck wins, because we thought that you would bring those decks. So playing against the blue white,
which we did. So I mean, that was fair.
So it's a bit worse against. Sorry, April.
Oh, that was so. Is are the Plague Engineers there for Monastery Mentor then? Is that the idea?
If he boarded in the Monastery Mentor, it's probably because of the ability to actually do something with the cards, because there's so many blank cards.
Sure.
It is pretty good against Mentor. Even Engineer Plague in Vintage saw play against Monastery Mentor.
Yep.
So both players here have some decent hands with land drops. So what do you think about Jess's hand, April?
Boy, I think it's a little slow, especially on the draw. I think I might have mulliganed, but then again, like she doesn't have a lot of plays anyways before turn 3. So
Yeah.
you know, it's probably just fine to keep a draw here and just hope that you know, Thomas isn't going to have a way to kill Narset, remove it from her hand.
Yeah, the fun thing is it is a very hard card to deal with, Narset, if she enters the battlefield. So I could definitely see like the first Narset taking away a counterspell maybe, and then the second one sticks with the Cryptic Command and the Baneslayer as backup plan. I definitely see that as a winning line.
Yeah, I think, well, Field of Ruin is a nice draw. I mean, the fact that she's going to be able to like curve Narset into Cryptic is really good, but like this click is going to be excellent. Just really very, very good against what Jess is trying to do here.
Yeah, so the thing is, if Thomas is going to do it in the draw step, I don't think he will. He will do it in the end step after the Narset resolves and trying to like snipe the Narset, if that's where the game goes.
Yeah, I think that's what I would probably do too, because I mean, it's you're guaranteeing it's not like a 2-for-1, which is like pretty important, I think, in this matchup to not be down cards. The Narset, you know, it'll cantrip, but it will just die right away, and I think that's the right way to play it. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But also, Jess actually plays pretty well around that line of play by not playing anything, keeping up the Field of Ruin to get like to get rid of the black source probably here and just like set up next turn.
Looks like she might just go. I wonder if she's just gonna go after whatever this Delta doesn't get.
Yes.
So she might go after the white source now.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
But
so Thomas is getting a land here on top of the deck. So now the question is if Thomas is actually just going to play the Polluted Delta to open Force of Negation mana and Logic Knot.
Mm-hmm.
So Jess is playing... your team is playing 3 Cryptic, 3 Force of Negation, 1 Logic Knot, 1 Mana Leak, 1 Spell Snare. Spell Snare doesn't do anything here, but it is 8 like counter spells, and then and then a Dovin's Veto in the sideboard. So it's 9. Oh, a Celestial. Oh, and Disdainful Stroke. So it's actually 10 counter spells here, and Thomas is reluctant to go for that line of play.
Yeah,
which is
you guys have how many counter spells? 1 counter spell? A couple counter spells?
April, you're not nice. You're not nice. Let me tell people.
We got a couple Force of Negations. We've got a Logic Knot or 2, and a couple Logic Knots. Hey, you don't like have nothing. You have something. I mean, but
there's a Ceremonious Rejection, but I guess that's not a counterspell in this matchup.
Probably not the best one here now. Would have been good in that. Well, probably wouldn't have been good in that last matchup actually. But
no.
Yeah, I actually wonder if Jess is gonna just keep sitting tight, because like she's not under a lot of pressure, but I don't know.
Oh, Thomas here is playing his clique end of turn. Let's see if he cliques himself here to get away with the path, or if he cliques Jessica. It looks like he cliques Jessica here. Yes.
Yeah, I think I would do the same. Just knowing what counterspells you might have to be playing around with can be invaluable. Like if you can look with click and you can see like a Disdainful Stroke and you could play around that or something, I mean that puts you in a pretty good spot. Unfortunately, most of these cards are like pretty decent. I suspect he might bottom the Cryptic. Actually,
yeah,
I don't even know what he bottoms here. He might just bottom nothing.
Yeah, I can definitely see not bottoming anything or bottoming a Cryptic, but he actually goes with Timely Reinforcement here. So he thinks that it's a game that is going to revolve around tempo because of the 2 Narsets and Planesway Angel. So Jessica has to play some sort of a tap out control here and hopefully get a Path to Exile to
kill the Vanillion click.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's see what she gets here.
Yeah, if she can get a path, she might be in like all right shape because she keep, the Narset will stay alive, which will blank the Jace here. And then she can hold up Cryptic, or well, she has lots of options after that, but she really needs to hit a path here. And I think she kept all of her paths in, but she did take out an Oust and she hit an Opt. Yeah, so she's going to be losing her Narset. And I suspect Thomas is just going to be absolutely slamming the heck out of that Jace. So
yeah, or actually the Teferi here, because
yeah.
if he attacks the Narset and then attacks Jess for 2, he can play Teferi, and then if Jess is drawing a detention sphere or anything that deals with the Teferi, he can play Jace or Teferi because he has 2 Teferis.
I suppose that's
making
true.
it less like diminishing having 2 here. And Jess is probably just going to slam the Baneslayer Angel here if there's a yeah. So actually, I think Thomas is tempoing and playing here in.
Yep. Yeah, I guess
that
you're right.
gives-
I for some reason I thought he was. I guess I'm sick. It's already like about 4 hours past what my bedtime should have been. I should have been in bed at like 6 p.m. So, yeah. And then this makes, he gets to draw here. He gets to untap. He might not even. I actually even wonder if Jess does play the Baneslayer, if he even passes it. I guess I assume he probably does, but the fact that he has Jason can just bounce it away, is like surprisingly good when you might be wanting to hold up those paths for something else like a Snapcaster. But
yeah, there is some like I use the term tab out control. There's like 2 kind of control decks. There's like a blue-white control in Modern, which I know you play because we played in somewhere in the US. I think we played a side event, Elves versus blue-white control. And the blue-white in Legacy is more like a control deck where you sit on your mana and then fire off like a lot of spells end of turn. Whereas sometimes you have to play tap out control, and it's just very good creatures like Oshutai or Baneslayer Angels. You just tap out on 5, play a Baneslayer, and then your opponent can't do anything. But it's a little bit more open to cards like Planeswalkers, which is the case in this spot.
Yeah, but I like here. I don't think Jess's like slam a card tap out control plan here is just very good. Like this Baneslayer is just going to be absolute. It's just garbage here. It's just real bad. And you can see her actually not even choosing not to even play it. But
yeah, but I think if Thomas gets to play an additional Planeswalker here, it could be like kind of a trouble. So Jess is keeping open Cryptic Command so that she can counter Jace and bounce the Teferi, putting the Disdainful Stroke to good use with a draw here. So I really like the heads up play from Jess here.
But I think if I'm Jess and I'm sitting there facing across from Thomas, who has 5 power on board and an active Teferi, like he doesn't need to do anything. He can just like sit there, draw an extra card every turn, hit for 5. Like he could just wait on Jessica. Like there's no reason. He knows that Jessica has the Cryptic, so there's not really much of a reason for him to do anything.
But here we actually get yeah. Sorry, what were you saying?
It looks like Jess is choosing to bounce the Teferi back. Ooh.
Yeah, I really like this play because it gives Jess some outs to with both like now she draws the Monastery Mentor, having Disdainful Stroke, having Path to Exile, making 2 tokens. Thomas does have the Path to Exile here, so it's a little bit unfortunate that Jess's heads up and the very nice play gets put to the test here through a Path to Exile and an engineered a play carry.
But I think that's, I mean, yeah, I don't, I think Jess has played this just fine. I think that in this particular matchup, Thomas's answers have just lined up very, very well to what she has. Like she can path here, the click will go away. Now Thomas doesn't know that Jessica drew the Disdainful Stroke, so it's certainly reasonable for him to just slam the Teferi back down, which will get, Disdainful Stroked, but Jessica doesn't have any way to capitalize on that temple gain.
But knowing Thomas, he's gonna play the Engineered Plague or the Jace here, because he wants to double spell instead of just playing the Teferi. Thomas is one of the most patient control players that I've ever encountered. So he's really gonna like see, do you have the spell? Okay, you had the spell. Now I'm gonna play the Plague Carrier.
Yeah,
because I'm gonna get rid of the cheese potential in the Prowess Monk.
Yep, and I think this is just a real heads up play. Although, it's a that was it right for him to perhaps is because the only answers that she had 2 mana open, so like the only answers she would have is Disdainful Stroke, and I think she might have had a Logic Nut, both of which don't work very well. So I wonder if it was correct to play the Plague Engineer first here.
Oh, the Jace first, right?
Because that would have guaranteed that the monk was off the board and he would be able to attack with the Snapcaster Mage.
Yes, but I think if you play the Jace, you just bounce the monk, so you just use the minus ability, and then you just pass the turn, and then Jess is not gonna make use of her mana here. So I think playing the Jace really just takes discards like a Disdainful Stroke from Jess's hand or a Logic Knot, and then you 100% get rid of the monk.
Sure.
Yeah, and the chat says miss the attack. So if Thomas would have done the play that you're saying, that would have gotten any damage here.
Yep.
So now the Jace.
Yep. And this is really brutal for Jess because she could be investing a whole lot of mana here to replay this Baneslayer, but I don't even think she can. I think she actually has to animate the Colonnade and get in, which is fine.
But Thomas has a Snapcaster in a path, so he's kind of like set up to that play as well, and even investing
and a good amount
5
of pressure
mana
on board too, right? Like he's got a 2-turn clock on Jess.
Jess is more afraid of her life total here, so she's gonna stay home with the Celestial Colonnade and keeping up the Force of Negation. Because she knows that Thomas has a path in the graveyard and also has like 4 Snapcasters in the deck, so why wouldn't Thomas have a Snapcaster more on in his hand?
Right.
Or
but now at the Field of Ruin, it's just even more. It's even more like impossible for Jess to dig out of this because she can animate, it'll die, and then like the next turn, Thomas has infinite answers with like Snap Path or Cryptic Command on the Colonnade, like just
Yeah, this is really Thomas has been drawing the correct cards for pretty much everything. Like his removal spells, a surgical, like pressure. Like he's just been like drawing up the board perfectly with the draws. And as Avalanche 524 is saying in the chat, that life doesn't matter in the matchup. It is correct that life doesn't matter, but there is a tipping point where 2 creatures on the board is actually going to be a threat. So I actually think Thomas is going to like counter this one. Both because of the creatures, but also because of the life here. And then Jess will promptly counter
it back. Yep.
Yeah.
That was a really good draw for Jess. I mean, it was one of her best draws, but I still think that she's so far behind. And, Thomas does, in fact, also have this Cryptic Command sitting here, too. So,
yeah. So I think this should be what unlocks the game for Thomas here. And so he's going to counter back, and then he has 8 power on the board and a Jace.
Yep.
So
and that's
even... Sorry?
Oh, sorry. I said, and that is that.
That is that, yeah. Indeed.
That is that. We inch ever closer, minute by minute, to April bedtime.
Yes. And Michael bedtime as well. It's 5:14. My child will wake up in 45 minutes. So...
Yeah, my kid, I was hoping he would just fall asleep, but he was like, I stayed up playing on my tablet and now the battery is dead, so now I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah.
All right.
So Scabs wins, yeah. So Jess knows that it is over with she doesn't have a way to deal with all these creatures. So let's see if the players change their board plan here. So Jess is taking out the Baneslayer and putting in the Timely Reinforcement.
That's interesting. I mean, I guess it's all right. Timely is all right. I almost wonder if it would be better to have something like Surgical Extraction in there. Like the times that Timely is important is usually, I mean, it was good there, but like most of the time it's just not that powerful. Whereas like blanking a Snapcaster and preventing, a bunch of 2-for-1s is like pretty strong. So this,
So I think this is a good hand from Thomas's side because it has all the lands.
And it's got an opt to help him draw into what he needs. just mulligan, but which I think was obviously a very, very good mulligan.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think this hand looks awesome now.
Yeah.
The fact that she can
really,
go.
Yeah, sorry. Continue.
Oh yeah, the fact that she can slam that turn 3 Teferi and draw a card, which will probably cantrip her into her 4th land, is super solid.
Yeah.
Ooh, and it looks like, I suspect that that there's a good chance that Thomas will Force of Negation the Teferi, which might leave him a little bit sad when the next one comes down. But we'll see.
Yeah, I agree that drawing the second Teferi here just makes just jam it out to take either the counterspell or the Force of Negation. And I think Thomas has to Force of Negate here, probably pitching the Teferi.
I think so. I mean, like, the Force of Negation is going to be a blank magic card after this anyway, so.
Yeah, and he is pitching the Teferi to be able to cast the Snapcaster up next turn to pressure a new Teferi or a Narset.
Yep. So that's pretty good. I think Jess mostly, if Jess draws another land on this next upcoming turn, do you think she slams the Teferi, or does she hold up Cryptic Command?
I would assume that she would hold up Cryptic Command. That's how her play pattern has been so far, and playing into an additional Force of Negation is just very bad here when Teferi is the only real threat that you have. And the fun thing is here, Thomas drew the Surgical, so the upside of the Force of Negation by exiling a card that it counters is actually a downside here.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. It's not gonna be able to eat that. Not gonna be able to eat that Teferi in the draw step and get that precious surgical extraction karma where you end up 1-for-1ing.
Yeah. But I could imagine Thomas is trying the Snapcaster here. Jess is gonna really think about if she wants to counter this or a potential Jace next turn. So Snapcaster opt is gonna resolve here.
Okay.
The
I'm
thing
not
is,
sure
Thomas,
what I would.
Sorry.
I'm not entirely sure what I would do here. I think I might have just countered the Snapcaster because I think she wants to be drawing into more lands on future turns. Like,
but it is like Snapcaster, like drawing a card isn't really the most important thing here. It really tries to like a Planeswalker. This is gonna be a very perfect play, but Thomas is just never gonna play into if he has to. And right now he's like ahead on the board, so I think
he's kind of got no rush. Whereas Jess like really needs to start hitting her land drops. She needs to start she needs to start doing something basically. Oof. That's not what she needed. She definitely needed another land here for sure.
Yeah, this is why you just don't play like 4 Hero of Dominaria and 4 Jace. It's when you draw them when you don't have the land drops or you need to tap out, then they kind of like then they become a bit bad. Like if Thomas drew a Teferi here, he wouldn't just slam it, so it would be potential blank card until Jess taps out.
Yep.
So let's see if Thomas just fires off the Solution Colonnade here. Yeah, he's gonna do that. And some in the chat agrees with you, April, that it seems like a rough spot having 2 cryptics that when you don't like fire off the first cryptic to kill the Snapcaster.
Yeah, like I mean, if that meant that this turn instead of drawing Teferi, she had drawn Teferi the previous turn and then a land drop this turn, she's in extremely good shape, right? Like she just slams the Teferi there. Whereas now she's just way behind, and like Thomas doesn't have to do anything. You can just sit back here. He's got to force him to get. Ooh, that was a pretty nice one though.
Yeah. So Jess is okay. So he's just gonna let it resolve here, and then Thomas is drawing a duress. So
yeah, I feel like this is starting to slowly slip away. The fact that Thomas drew another blue card for that Force of Negation is like pretty huge here. I wonder if Jess is just going to play out the timely reinforcements now.
Yeah, either the timely or just try to see if she can stick like a Teferi here, because she doesn't have any 2-mana spells. So she might just either fire off the Field of Ruin to play Timely or play the Teferi. But she's probably gonna go with the Field of Ruin and Timely, or Field of Ruin, go to the second main phase, and then Timely.
Yep. Yeah, this is a smart heads up play. I'm honestly not sure what I would do in this case. Like, I'd be looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, well, if Thomas has a Snapcaster in hand, that's only 4 power to harass the Teferi, so the Teferi would stay alive.
Yeah.
I think that would maybe weigh me towards playing the Teferi there and just plussing it, but I'm really not sure. Especially given that she would have the Timely the following turn to, like, you know, gum up the ground against the 2 possible Snapcasters. So
yeah. And here Thomas is like the whole thing before, the question about if life totals matter in the matchup. Here, the Snapcaster has actually chipped away enough damage that countering the Timely Reinforcement is worth it, instead of just playing the Plague Carry and kill all the tokens.
Yep. And I'm actually surprised. I actually thought that Jess was going to Force of Negation there. Or sorry, Force of Negation the Cryptic.
She cannot, because it's her own turn.
Oh, it's her own turn. You're right. Yeah. You're right. Yikes.
The same with the Teferi the turn before.
Yep. Yeah, now she's in, like, just super rough shape. Like, there's a 3-turn clock on the board, so she has to deal with these Snapcasters. She doesn't have a ton of answers for them. Whereas Thomas has, you know, well, basically 2 counter spells here. The Logic Knot is essentially a hard counter, and then the Force of Negation can deal with a Cryptic or a Planeswalker or anything, really.
Yeah, but I think the Surgical will also be a discount. He will take the second Cryptic command to have a 3-turn clock with the Snapcasters. So I think he's gonna just fire off the Surgical right here.
Yeah, that's a real smart heads up play. It really, like, Jess's options are so narrow now. She just doesn't have. She only has 1-for-1 answers left in her deck for dealing with creatures. You know, the Path. Now that the Timely's gone, she just doesn't have a lot of ways to deal with, well, these pesky 2-1s that are just slowly chipping away at her life total. And it's for that reason why, like, I often, like, Path is nice, but I still sometimes just keep in, you know, a Supreme Verdict for, like, these sorts of situations where you're like, you know, I could path away that Colonnade, but I can't just sit here doing nothing. And I know that if I just play a removal spell to try to kill these 2 Snapcasters, it's going to get countered. Like, having a reset button can be just so nice.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have access to that, so she's just under just an absolute ton of pressure here.
And like, it seems like the game would have turned out a bit differently if she had fired off the Cryptic. So this is the thing about Modern. It's like there's some essential turns where if you play into a wrong line, the game will kind of like spiral in a direction that you don't want to. So Jess is kind of in a rush here to get back into the game, while Thomas is just like chilling, doing his thing.
And if that Snapcaster had been Crypticid, like, yes, I mean, there's a possibility that Jace could have been slammed, and that would have been, like, pretty bad. But, like, I mean, she would have had the Teferi to deal with it. But, like, we didn't know that. But, like, sure, the Teferi would have been really bad, but it would have kept 2 power off the board. It would have halved the clock. Jess would be able to be calm here and taking her time instead of being forced to play into what Thomas has. So
yeah, it is like what makes Modern like both hated and loved. That it's like these small lines of play that just completely dictates the game. So you really need to play the correct. I'm not saying Jess didn't play correct, because he played very well in like both games. So she had a line of play that she would rather take like 10 damage from the Snapcaster and counter Jace, because she knew that she could draw herself into it. But with how Thomas has drawn and how Jess has drawn, it has not come in Jess's favor. So the Cryptics has just been like laying in the hand.
Yep. And I mean, but like her line is absolutely defensible. Like, and you know, but I really miss, I gotta say, I really miss this kind of Modern, right? I mean, sure, a lot of people might not be super excited about watching 2 control decks like sit and bang away at each other, especially when it's past their bedtime. But you know, it's really nice to be talking about like, oh, here's this line that just took on turn 4, and look at how it's affected things all the way down the line, and now we're on turn 10, and the game is over. Whereas,
And
that's nice. That's what I want Modern to be.
Yeah, but also, like this could be like a lesson that sometimes when you say something, I was so unlucky or whatever. Then remember, what did you actually do in the game? It's like one play that dictates how like the snowball is gonna roll, and so many actions has been played after that. So it could have gone like anyway.
Yeah.
But April.
I think that's it. I think that's it.
It looks like we went to 4 stars while you went to 1 star.
Just to 1.
It puts us in the finals, and you with exit in the really sweet semifinals.
I feel pretty good about that. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to be a little bummed out, but I'm also not bummed out about going to bed now. But
No.
I wish you all the best of luck in the future rounds. I believe next week is the Brothers Who Bash versus Pamplemousse to determine who goes to the finals. So your team has been just a real pleasure to play against, and it's been a really fun evening.
Thank you, and likewise. And so it was actually a quite fast night TMSL like comparison, like not going to the 7th game. So that is good for you, but it's also kind of bittersweet. So I'm very happy to be in the finals, and I will say as well, it was a pleasure to commentate with you and with
it was
Brittany.
great. I look forward to rooting for you in the finals. So.
Thank you. So that was it for us. We'll go to some commercials. We'll be back next week with the Pamplemousse and the Bass Bros. And I just want to say thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for supporting this. And thank you very much for Athena and Randy for doing this for both the community and also us as the players. It has been a great evening, and the chat has been on fire. So that's been very great. And
they're Athena and Randy, they're like heroes, basically. The amount of work that goes into producing this every week is unbelievable. So great work on their part. And everybody, thanks again for being such a great audience. And see you all in another week.
See y'all.